Nashville Network.
Little more than an hour from Boston, there's an area of New Hampshire which has changed little since it was first settled by the English in 1623. Over the centuries, tourism has taken hold as city dwellers from all over New England visit the Lakes Area mountain region in the southern part of the Granite State. The foliage began heralding winter's approach in the last few weeks, bringing out what the locals like to describe as leaf peepers who have come to watch the changing of the seasons. But leaves aren't what have brought people together from all over the Northeast this second Sunday of October. The attraction is racing, NASCAR Grand National style, live on TNN. There was frost on the pumpkin this morning, but it's warming up nicely, and if one could have ordered a perfect autumn day in New England, this is it. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Allen. Thanks for joining us for TNN's live Grand National coverage at one of the most beautiful venues in the series. The New Hampshire International Speedway has only been open a year and a half, and it's the newest super speedway in the U.S. in 20 years, and everyone who has been here has raved about it. Now, NHIS can best be described as a bigger version of Martinsville, Virginia. It's 1 mile in length. It has long straightaways and shallow, tight turns. Now, I mentioned Martinsville for a very good reason. Harry Gant, you recall, a few weeks ago won the Winston Cup race there, and he's here today going for 4 straight Grand National wins, attempting to tie a record that has stood since 1983. Handsome Harry is trackside with our Bill Hennessy.
Well, sometimes, but we never was real fast a few laps I ran, so it may be a little different today. We hope it'll be good.
What makes you faster as the race goes along?
Well, the car's always set up pretty good, gets a little bit better tire wear.
Well, that may be the combination he's looking for this afternoon.
The point battle for the 1991 championship is one of the closest ever coming into New Hampshire. This is one of just 3 races to go. Kenny Wallace leads Bobby Labonte by just 33 points. Now, for Wallace, he had a 10th at Daytona to start the year and then went on a real tear, finishing no worse than 3rd and picking up a victory down in Barberville, Florida. He then cooled off just a bit before heating up again during the summer stretch. And right here at New Hampshire, he regained the lead back in July. But he has struggled over the last 4 races as he and Bobby Labonte have swapped the lead back and forth. But he still leads again by 33. Now let's go back down trackside. Bill Hennessy with Kenny Wallace.
For Kenny Wallace, he's leading the points race at the present time. We're going for the win or we're racing for points today.
Well, we're kind of in between. I race the same time all the time, and I'm just going to do what I've done to get me here, and that's race to do what the car gives me, and if it gives me what it gave me last time, I'll win this thing. So we're looking pretty good, and the guys give me a good car, and what can I say? I just want to say hey to Kim and my brother and everybody back at home in St. Louis and Charlotte, and hopefully I'll bring home a good one for you today.
How do you like this racetrack?
It's been good to me. I've always ran good here. This kind of a comfort zone racetrack for me. I haven't been here and been bad yet, so we'll see today. Temperatures are a lot different. It's really cold up here. Goodyear's got a good tire, but it is harder than the one we had last time, so there's a lot of different variables this time.
Well, Mark Darrow, he's reflecting a lot of confidence.
As far as the other combatant for the title goes, Bobby Labonte has been the picture of consistency. Through the first 17 races of the year, only 3 of those races did he finish out of the top 10. He took the lead in May and lost it, as I said earlier, here at New Hampshire, but he got back into the title chase with his 2nd win back at Indianapolis just a few weeks ago. He reeled off 3 more strong runs at Orange County, Bristol, and Darlington to climb back into the lead. He took the lead at Darlington, lost it at Richmond, took it back at Dover, and lost it again at Charlotte, bringing us to this point here in the Granite State. Let's go back down to Bill Hennessy, who's standing by with Bobby Labonte.
Bobby Labonte, you didn't have a very good qualifying run here, but you are in the show, still battling for the points.
Yeah, we just got to keep this Penrose Oldsville out of trouble today, and
try to get up front as soon as we can and just stay there. And, you know, that's been our game plan all year. We just got to keep trying.
Are you going for the win today, or are you running for the points?
Well, that's hard to say. You know, if our car is capable enough of going to the front, then we'll go there. But if it's not, then we'll just have to finish the best we can.
There is some difference between the Busch Grand National North and the South cars. With the story, Mark Allen.
Well, Northern Tour regular and today's pole sitter Ricky Craven is using a radical suspension geometry that none of his Southern Tour counterparts has ever seen before. Glenn Jarrett took a look at the car earlier this morning.
Preparations for the race today on Sunday morning gets a little noisy here in the garage area. One of the major differences in the Northern cars we can show right here on pole winner Ricky Craven's car, looking at the chassis components. We'll step over here and look at this. On most cars, you see this right here. This is the anti-sway bar. On a Southern car, this sway bar comes down and is hooked to the bottom A-frame part of the chassis. Not so on Ricky Craven's car. It comes up, and as you can see through a Himes joint and a long bolt here, is hooked to the top A-frame. This is really unique. You don't see this on a Southern race car. What Craven says that it does is enables the car to stay under him a little longer, makes the chassis a little more forgiving as the race goes on and the tires get worn. Now, this crew and this team is based in Concord, New Hampshire. Oddly enough, this frame and this development was built by a guy in Concord, North Carolina.
All right, thank you, Glenn. We're just moments away from the start of today's race. Don't go away.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 on TNN is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. By Eagle One Car Care Products. Eagle One is visual perfection. And by Champion Batteries, when you can't wait to get started.
2, 3. Davy Allison believes. Mario and Michael Andretti believe. Don Prudhomme believes. For complete protection, you need a complete motor oil. Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil.
Yeah. Full roast out here. We're 1,000 miles from anywhere. Is that a ship? No one will save us.
3 Miller Genuine Drafts.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
He wonders if I even notice that visual perfection produces unbelievably deep, rich, glowing color. An intense, dazzling, brilliant shine. I do. Visual perfection by Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
It's the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 here at New Hampshire International Raceway. We're sitting with the pole man right now, Ricky Craven, 121.8 miles per hour. You don't want anybody to get in front of this Chevy this afternoon, do you?
Well, you're right. It's time for me to have some fun. It's been a terrific year. Final thank you to Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, Chevrolet, Mobil Oil. Be great to end the year with a win here in New Hampshire, my hometown, and boy, I sure like the view up here.
You're on home turf. Can you win?
I can win.
You're going to have to use that front machine gun switch a little earlier?
Ernie, better hope not.
There we go. Ricky Craven sits on the pole, back upstairs to Mark Allen.
Well, he's gunning for his 10th victory of the season. The engines have been fired on pit road. The points lead changed hands again in Charlotte last week. Here's our Haviland Racing update. Grand National regular Ward Burton beat back all early challengers in search of his first series win. The expected threat by Dale Earnhardt was erased, not by damage suffered after colliding with the spinning 29 of Phil Parsons, but by NASCAR, which threw him out of the race for allegedly triggering the incident. Points leader Bobby Labonte was a victim in the same lap 22 crash and did little more than ride around the rest of the day. Number 2 points man Kenny Wallace jumped on Labonte's misfortune by running in the top 10. After a mandatory 5-minute mid-race break, Burton was still the dominant car. Shauna Robinson's crash with 75 laps to go left her shaken but not seriously hurt. Burton's crew decided to leave their driver in the lead rather than pit like the rest of the front runners, and it cost them. With no further cautions, the Buick driver had no hope of going the distance on gas and ran dry with 12 circuits left. That put Harry Gant in front when it mattered, as the Skoll driver won his 3rd straight Grand National race. Ken Schrader was 2nd with Jimmy Hensley 3rd, Tommy Ellis was 4th, and Tom Peck 5th. Wallace was 7th and Labonte 17th, so the championship lead swung back into Pontiac drivers' favor by 33 points. Hensley and Joe Nemechek held their positions while Robert Presley moved into 5th. 46 drivers are set to roll off of pit road in anticipation of the start of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250. We'll be back with the starting lineup and all the action from New Hampshire International Speedway in just a moment.
Most of our customers come to AutoZone for low prices and for parts they can replace themselves. But many people come because we speak their language. Things like duration and lift and compression ratios, stuff like that. Because a guy who's going to rebuild an engine, he won't buy parts from just anybody. And since AutoZone stocks complete engines, we know what makes them tick inside and out. Sure, we sell our best parts at our best prices every day. But if we know something that's going to help you do the job right, you get that free.
You know, when it's hot outside, the battery in your car is a lot like the battery in this oven. Except at Baker Broil, only one battery's made to take the heat in this kitchen. The Champion Scorcher. No matter how hot it gets, you'll still be able to cook. The Champion Scorcher. Built to take the heat. To get the Champion Scorcher, call for the dealer nearest you.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. With not one, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Virtually everyone in the field is rolling off of pit road as we get set for 264 miles of racing. This track is just a little bit over a mile in length. Let's take a look at today's starting grid for the Chevy Dealers of New England 250. Ricky Craven on the pole for the 6th time this season. Winston Cup visitor Ernie Irvin outside on the front row. In the second row, it's Chuck Bound, the defending Grand National champion, and Tommy Houston still looking for his first win in 1991. On the third row, Robert Presley, who's moved up smartly through the points, and the defending Grand National champion, really the 3-time Grand National champion now, Jamie Obey in row 3. In the fourth row, Joey Karofis in one of the V8-powered cars. He'll go to the back of the field for the start. We'll explain more on that in a moment. And Ward Burton. Row number 5, Davey Allison in his Haviland entry, and Jimmy Hensley sporting a different number today. More on that in a moment.
In row number 6, Jimmy Spencer on the inside, Butch Miller to the outside. Row 7, the 13th spot for New Hampshire's own Dave Dion. Beside him, Maine's Kelly Moore. In row number 8, in the 15th starting spot, Tracy Leslie. And beside him, Glenn Sullivan, who we understand already has a clutch problem with his car. And we'll document that a little bit more later. 17th spot, Harry Gant, looking for his 4th straight Grand National Series victory. Beside him, the point leader, Kenny Wallace. And in row number 10, Tony Hirschman, the top rookie on the NASCAR North Tour. Beside him, Billy Clark.
In row number 11, it will be Todd Bodine and Grand National North driver Dale Shaw. In the 12th row, Joe Bessie, a winner of the very first New Hampshire race this year, and rookie contender David Green. In row 13, it's Kenny Schrader and Jeff Barry. In row number 14, Jeff Burton, a winner at South Boston this year, and Ron Lamell Jr. The 15th row to Mike McLaughlin and Bobby Dodder.
In row number 16, Bobby Labonte, minus 33 points coming into this race in the battle for the championship. Beside him, Northern driver Mike Rowe. Inside of row number 17, Jeff Gordon to the inside, Jamie Tomeno of New Jersey on the outside. Row 18, Pennsylvania's Tom Peck and Massachusetts driver Ken Bouchard. In row 19, currently 4th in the point standings, Joe Nemechek. Beside him, Dean Ferry. And in row number 20, Bob Brunel. Beside him, a former New Hampshire winner, the veteran from Richmond, Virginia, Tommy Ellis.
And in row 21, provisional starters now, Steve Grissom and Dick McCabe. In the 22nd row, Dave Resendiz and Stub Fadden. And the 23rd row to Troy Beebe and Peter Daniels. And as you can see, a rare sight here. Half the field is on the speedway, the other half is on pit road as the Marlon Wright, the safety car driver, is showing the field the speed which way they will go down pit road at today, 45 miles per hour.
13 Oldsmobiles, 13 Buicks, 9 Chevrolets, 9 Pontiacs, 2 Fords make up the field today. 7 of those cars on Hoosier tires, 39 on the Goodyears.
And in looking at track conditions here at New Hampshire International Raceway, a little bit over 1 mile in length, actually 1.058. The straightaways, 1,500 feet. Front straight and back straight. You can see the turns, 12-degree banking. The straightaways themselves are absolutely flat. We get word from NASCAR that they will come down pit road one more time. As you saw there, a car dropping to the rear field. Joey Karofis, more on that in a second.
Absolutely ideal fall day, 50 degrees, the humidity 49%, the wind just slight out of the west at 10 miles per hour. And as you can see, a lot of sunshine blanketing the New Hampshire International Speedway as the cars come down pit road for a second time. This time the pole sitter Ricky Craven is the one who said, look, I went down here the last time, I'm not going this time. The rest of the field went down pit road for that second pace lap. You see Craven to the right hand of the screen. That's the pole sitter. He decided not to make the trip.
Well, it looks like it, Mark. I'm as confused as the guys are right now. The northern guys aren't used to having to do this because they don't run on that many super speedways, and so therefore they're not used to this. And Craven did it last time. He figured, I'm not going to do it again. I know how fast it's supposed to be.
One of the features that they're having today, different from the last time we visited this racetrack in July, is that the Corvette pace car has a flag on the back, similar to what you would see on a bike going down the road, so people can see it from a far distance. Because the pace car was so low that drivers had difficulty seeing the car from pit road because the wall's 4 feet high. The Corvette's even lower than that, so they couldn't see the pace car to judge their speed on pit road. So a little bit of a change this time around to help the drivers. You see that flag there just bobbing up and down behind the Corvette pace car.
Now the field will be forming up just a little different than they qualified based on a problem that Joey Karofis had this morning.
Yeah, Mark, Joey missed the driver's meeting this morning. He had an engine problem, and he himself was helping to work on the car. Didn't realize the driver's meeting was going on. It is a NASCAR rule. If you miss the driver's meeting, you got to go to the rear of the field. It kind of adds insult to injury, but that's the rule, and NASCAR is standing by it, so Karofis had to drop to the rear.
So Joey Karofis, who had qualified 7th from Randolph, Massachusetts in a Pontiac, moves back to the rear of the field as we get the signal 1 to go here in New Hampshire for 250 laps of Grand National action.
Another note about Karofis, he's driving one of only 2 V8 powered cars in the race. Karofis in a V8 Chevrolet, and also Dave Dion, car number 29, is driving a V8 Ford, so we'll keep an eye on them, see how those V8s do.
They are, of course, under a weight penalty, so these cars are usually pretty quick in qualifying, but that extra weight usually kills them during the race.
Well, it does, Mark, particularly a place like this where you got long straightaways, relatively flat turns. You saw that 12-degree banking.
when you're going down this straightaway about 160, 170 miles an hour, you get to that turn, it looks like it's 0 degrees banking. It looks flat. So what that does is put extra pressure on the brake system because you're carrying more weight. It tends to wear the brakes out a little quicker and gets them hotter. So it's a little tougher later on in the race.
The defending race champion, Rick Mast, is not here. He's running exclusively Winston Cup, so we will have a new winner today after we complete 264 miles of action at New Hampshire International Speedway. The pace car is off the track. The field is formed nicely, and we are set to go. The green is out, and we are underway in New Hampshire. And there is a problem on Ricky Craven's car. He does not come up to speed anywhere near what he expected to, and Ernie Irvin jumps out to the point early with Tommy Houston right behind him.
Looked almost like Craven had a car in the wrong gear or something. He really didn't take off at the moment. First moment I thought that Irvin had jumped the field, but it doesn't look that way.
Ernie Irvin, the Modesto, California driver, making a rare Grand National start in that Mack Tools Chevrolet, jumps out to a good sizable advantage as we complete the first of 250 laps. Second, Tommy Houston. Third is Craven. Fourth, Chuck Bound. Fifth, Robert Presley. Behind him, Davey Allison.
Craven looks like he's back up to full speed. He's starting to really push Tommy Houston just a bit down the back straightaway. There's Houston, car number 6, the blue and white Rose's Stores Buick, and the Chevrolet, the blue number 25 behind him. The pole sitter Ricky Craven looking to climb back to the top.
Yeah, whatever problem Craven had at the start is certainly not with him right now. He's really giving Houston all he can handle. In fact, he pulls below him coming down the front.
And isn't that a splendid shot from our speed camera right on the wall of the front straight? One of the most beautiful settings in all of motorsports. Now back in the pack, there is Harry Gant. He's the man going after 4 victories today in the green number 7. Right behind him is the red 72 of Tracy Leslie, a Rookie of the Year contender, his best finish of 1992, the second at Indianapolis.
Harry Gant doesn't usually do a whole lot in the beginning of the race, but slowly, about the halfway mark, he starts to make his move. And a lot of times, Glenn Jarrett, you don't really see him coming until, guess what, he's already there.
He's sneaky quick as well as he's sneaky old. Nobody believes this guy's 51 years old. But as Harry said at the top of the show, they don't worry too much about the car right at the first. They use the first half of the race to sort the car out. He's just feeling it out right now. He didn't get a lot of practice because of an appearance he had to make yesterday elsewhere. So they're using this right now, the first half of the race, as their practice session.
Ernie Irvin continues to lead up front, but you can see Ricky Craven is beginning to reel him in back there in second. Further back in third is the blue and white number 6 of Tommy Houston. Glenn, we were talking just before the broadcast about the banking at this track. They announced it as 12 degrees. What is it like from a driver's perspective charging into the turns after 1,500 feet of straightaway?
Well, again, Mark, it looks relatively flat, and that's one thing we need to keep an eye on Ricky Craven for. Another difference between the Northern and Southern cars is the North Tour guys can run what's called a spool rear end. In other words, they depend directly on tire stagger. You can see Craven close right up on Ernie Irvin. There he drops down to pass him. Watch him as he goes in the corner. They've got the tire stagger matched perfectly right now. That car will turn on a dime. He expressed a serious consideration to me in the garage area this morning that he was worried about tire stagger. It is so critical on a car with the spool rear end. It has to be perfect all day. If they get it off just a little bit, he's in trouble.
And on lap number 5, we have a new leader. New Hampshire native charges to the front around Ernie Irvin to lead, as he did through much of this event last year. 6 laps now on the board. A Grand National North driver is leading a Winston Cup visitor here at New Hampshire. We'll be back with more action in just a moment.
There is a giant in the tire industry. A Goliath whose products have cast a shadow over the high-performance world for years. Meet David. Hoosier Performance Radials. 4 models to fit cars and light trucks like yours. So pick up a set and take on the world. Call 1-800-344-6849 for the dealer nearest you. Hoosier Performance Radials. As serious about tires as you are about cars.
Competition? Yeah, we got a bunch. But we've been in business for 76 years, and we intend to be in business for at least 76 more. If that means change, we change. We have even increased our commitment to service. Today, every single Rose's Store associate is personally rewarded for providing you great service. Take a new look. Give them a try. We are all totally committed to doing whatever it takes to satisfy you. That's a promise.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Cold filtered. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
When the world of speed trade RPMs for RBIs, the result? A grudge match between the quarter trackers of the NHRA and the oval jockeys of Winston Cup. It's an off-track battle of racing's fastest superstars. A chance to finally settle the score. Who's the best in a benefit softball game? It's the All-Stars of Speed. NASCAR versus NHRA. 3:30 p.m., 2:30 Central Sports Sunday on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Welcome back to TNN's live coverage of the Chevy dealers of New England 250. New England driver Ricky Craven's out front, but Winston Cup star Ernie Irvan, also in a Chevrolet, is really starting to turn up the heat. They're battling for the #1 spot. Currently third, Chuck Bown taking over that spot just a few laps ago from Tommy Houston. There again is Ernie Irvan pulling up to Ricky Craven as they make their exit to turn 4, heading back onto the front straightaway, completing the 12th lap of the Chevy dealers of New England 250.
Well, you know, I'm sure this is a sight that Ricky Craven would like to see next week. Next week, he's going to make his first Winston Cup appearance, and I'm sure he'd like to be racing a guy like Ernie Irvan for first place next week at Rockingham.
And he slides up the racetrack in a side-by-side battle for the lead as Irvan is making his move now on lap number 12. And he gets the spot. No question about it. Problem up there in turn 1 for Craven.
Yeah, it looks like the car got out from under him just a little bit. And that radical chassis that he's got, it was supposed to prevent the car from doing that. It looked like he slipped just a little bit in the corner.
It looks like the red car, the Pontiac of Chuck Bown, is going to join the fray for the battle for the #1 spot. You see him closing in there in the red and white car number 63. Bown nearly won this race back in July, was penalized a full lap, made it up under green, and came back to finish second to Kenny Wallace. Those two cars had dusted the entire field. And one thing about Ernie Irvan's run right now, this is the best a Winston Cup driver has run here all year. They pretty much got their heads handed to them on a platter by the BGN regulars back in July.
And the BGN North regular is giving it to Irvan all over again, and he repasses and takes the lead into 1 with Bound right behind it. Let's keep an eye on Chuck Bound, because several laps ago he wasn't even in the same picture. And now he's right there sitting in a strong third as now Craven begins to pull away. Here's action a little bit further back in the pack. We're watching the battle for the Grand National points lead. Now that's Bobby Labonte in the red number 44 on the high side, the 22 of Jeff Berry, a Grand National North regular. At last count, we had Bobby Labonte sitting back in the 22nd position, so he's made a nice move up through the field from a 31st starting spot.
He certainly has, and as you well know, Glenn, he has to tiptoe through there. This race has to be a full 250-lap race for Bobby Labonte. He's going to have to give up at least the first half of the race to get the track position, maybe put himself in position to win later on.
Well, I think you're right, Mark. Of course, Bobby's the type driver that if the car's under him, he'll go to the front as quickly as it'll take him there. But he's not going to take any unnecessary chances. He has to finish this race.
Bobby Labonte is currently running about 22nd on the racetrack. Chuck Bound has just taken over the second spot, but Ricky Craven continues to lead, and we'll have more from the New Hampshire International Speedway when we come right back.
This week, Nashville Now stars Tammy Wynette, Ricky Skaggs, the Desert Rose Band, Asleep at the Wheel, and Becky Hobbs. Live this week on Nashville Now.
I guess I like things that go fast.
Experience life on the NASCAR circuit as you've never seen before. Call now and order Bill Elliott Racing to Victory and see what life is like for Bill Elliott in and out of Victory Lane. Meet the men responsible for the high technology and the marketing of the man known as $1 Million Bill.
It's $1 Million Bill from Dawsonville. Look out, the bird is on the loose again. He's got one thing on his mind. got the birdies on the loose again. And he's got one thing on his mind, driving towards number
Order
9.
Bill Elliott, Racing to Victory. Don't wait, call now.
To order, call now, 1-800-524-4000. That's 1-800-524-4000.
18 laps in and problems for ninth starter Davey Allison. Bill Hennessy is there.
He's blowing a little oil out from beneath the valve cover. He brought the car in and cut the engine off momentarily. Now he's refired the car. It's behind a wall. Obviously, they're going to try to fix it. Red Farmer with his head under the hood. We'll give you an update in just a moment.
And problems for Dave Resendiz down the backstretch. The Assonet, Massachusetts driver is off the pace and is also showing smoke, so there could be problems on that Oldsmobile.
Glenn, he showed a lot of smoke, then no smoke. Bad sign.
That's always a bad sign. When you see a lot and then none, that means it's done its damage. And I've got an idea that either Resendez has shut the car off or he's going to have to pull it in behind the wall.
Davey Allison has come back onto the racetrack. You see Chuck Bound now closing in on Ricky Craven. Craven has won 9 of 20 starts this year. When you're batting nearly 500, that's major league stuff no matter what sport you're in.
Well, absolutely. To dominate a division the way he has done, particularly one as competitive as Busch Grand National North, is a real testament to how good Ricky Craven is. I think we're going to see a lot out of this guy in the future. He's a really talented race driver. I asked him early on today, I said, Ricky, how long have you been doing this? He said, oh, a little better than 10 years. I said, well, how old are you? He said, 25. So he's got his experience early, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
To give you a sense of how dominant Ricky Craven has been, yes, we mentioned the 9 victories. He has tied in one season with 9 wins the career leader up to this year, who was Kelly Moore, who had 9 in the 5 previous years of the Grand National Series. He's doubled the earnings. A good deal of that came in the Oxford Plains race, where he took home more than $60,000.
His total winnings, 160. The second most money won on the series this year, $55,000 by Dick McCabe. And just to give you an idea how 9 wins stacks up against other seasons, no time in the NASCAR North history that began about 5 years ago did any driver win more than 3 races in a single season.
And a report on Davey Allison, who's a power steering pump, which they are working to fix. And they're, as you know, of course, because we told you a moment ago, he is back out in the Speedway, but he is no longer on the lead lap, and that's a tough break because he ran here very well last October in the first running of the 250.
Well, Allison has had a tough year all year long in his Busch Grand, and as we're talking, he starts back down pit road again, so obviously that problem is going to nag him for a while. He's going to have to spend some time in the pits. Been a very frustrating year for him on Busch Grand National.
See up at the top of your screen in the right-hand corner, Tommy Houston, the yellow, rather blue and white car being passed by Robert Presley. Houston started this race, you know, in the 4th position, and Glenn, he's sort of slid back. He's got some problems early on.
Well, he has, Mark. It looks like that they may have missed the chassis setup just a little bit. Most of the cars are going by him in the turns. Of course, his car, like all cars, is handling down the straightaway. You're taking a look at Davey Allison there. I remember trying to get a piece to try to repair that power steering pump problem that they've got, but Houston definitely backpedaling through the field.
What if they just cut the power steering belt for Davey Allison? That would be a load all day here.
On a flat racetrack like this, barreling into these turns with the speeds they do, it's awfully tough on them to drive without power steering.
Ricky Craven continues to set the pace up front, except for a brief stint in the lead by Ernie Irvin, who is sitting back there in the 3rd position. This driver has been up front throughout, and he would really like to give the Grand National North drivers and the Winston Cup visitors a comeuppance, because he thinks he has a lot to prove in his budding racing career, and he makes no bones that he would like to do Grand National North South and certainly Winston Cup. And of course, he has the Dick Moroso ride for next weekend in Rockingham.
Dale Shaw's crew going to work on the right side of that Pontiac. He's on pit road. This is an unscheduled pit stop on lap 25. Shaw out of North, or rather Center Conway, New Hampshire, 27 years old. He's down and away. When you pit that early in this race, you just about give away any chance to win. Shaw, one of the top runners on the NASCAR North Circuit, has gone by the boards, as it looks like Bound has made up a little bit more room, the distance separating him between the top car of Ricky Craven, but it seems like every time he closes in, Craven goes to the whip just a little bit. There's Jeff Burton now going to the inside of Ken Schrader. 2 Chevrolets battling it out in turn 1, and Burton almost gets up into Schrader. They're still just about side by side.
Well, you see Burton down on the inside there in the red 99. Of course, that's Schrader in the black and white 15. Jeff Burton grew up, cut his teeth on these kind of racetracks, flat asphalt ovals, but his teeth cutting was not done on one of this length, but he's doing a real good job handling Ken Schrader right now. He's got Schrader on the outside. That's where he wants him.
And right behind him is the white 87 of Joe Nemechek, and immediately behind that, Bobby Labonte. The action back in the pack is furious as Ricky Craven continues to set the pace. 27 laps in to the Chevy dealers of New England, 250. We'll be right back.
If your car's hesitating and hard to start, it's time for a tune-up, right? Not if you've a clogged fuel injector. Then it's time for Gum Out Extra Fuel Injector Cleaner. Just one bottle of Gum Out Extra added to a tank of gas unclogs fuel injectors better than detergent gasolines alone. Gum Out frees your car from hard start, sluggish performance, and stalling. So before you get an expensive tune-up, try Gum Out Extra for fuel injectors and carburetors.
Gum Out is available at Pep Boys.
There is a giant in the tire industry, a Goliath whose products have cast a shadow over the high-performance world for years. Meet David. Hoosier Performance Radials, 4 models to fit cars and light trucks like yours. So pick up a set and take on the world. Call 1-800-344-6849 for the dealer nearest you. Hoosier Performance Radials, as serious about tires as you are about cars.
Before this, you never heard of cold filtered. Before this, you never heard of genuine draft taste in a bottle. Now hear this. Get out of the old, get into the cold.
Cold filter taste what it's all about. Never heat pasteurized, so the rich, smooth taste don't cook out. For those who discovered its real draft taste, the world can be a very cool place.
Get out of the old, get into the cold. Miller Genuine Draft.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
No better way to face the day.
The morning belongs to Skin Bracer Aftershave. Its cool, brisk tingle really gets you going. And what a great scent. Skin Bracer.
No better way to face the day. Find it.
Ricky Craven continues to set the pace with Chuck Bound a close second. Ernie Irvin is third. Jimmy Hensley up to fourth from the 10th starting position, and Robert Presley fifth. Let's get on trackside to Bill Hennessy.
Well, cars suffering problems early in the going. Dale Shaw was in with a bad push on his Pontiac. The 79 car of Dave Resendez, he's in with a blown engine. Kenny Bouchard was in, blowing oil out of the breather. And for 28, Davey Allison, this is the part that failed. A 90-degree fitting on the power steering pump actually cracked and started spurting out power steering fluid. In doing so, they've decided to sideline the 28.
Okay, thank you, Bill. In the 5 car, that's Jimmy Hensley. He has just passed Ernie Irvin for 3rd place in the track. Now, this is an unfamiliar number to you who follow Grand National racing on a regular basis. Ricky Craven runs the number 25, and based on the rules of these combination events, whoever qualifies higher gets to keep his car number. Now, he would have preferred, Jimmy Hensley would have preferred to run number 75, but that number is already owned by somebody else, so he couldn't run that number like he did last year, so 5 is the only one left.
25 is the magic number for this racetrack. 4 Busch Grand National Series races, all the pole positions have been won by cars number 25. 2 for Jimmy Hensley and 2 for Ricky Craven, who you see in the screen there, the Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up Chevrolet, continuing to lead this race. Hensley, 1 of 7 cars, and Hoosier Tires has made his way quickly from the 10th spot all the way up to 3rd. As you see now, Craven into some heavy traffic, getting ready to lap some cars. He's coming up on the pink car. That's Bobby Dotter and Mike McLaughlin as he works on them going down into turn 1.
And this is where things can get interesting on this racetrack with those shallow turns like they are, Glenn.
Well, that's right, Mark. The groove is down low on the racetrack. When you run through the turns here, you want to be low as possible on the racetrack. But when you're working traffic, you have to move up into that upper groove. Slows you up a bit. It gives those guys behind you a chance to close a little ground on you. And that's exactly what Jimmy Hensley is doing. He has now pulled up. You can see on the rear bumper. Well, you're still looking at Ricky Craven there, but Hensley is on the march. Definitely the fastest car in the field. You're watching Craven work traffic going into turn 1, about to put a lap on leading rookie contender Jeff Jordan.
this race very similar. I was here for a NASCAR North standalone event a few weeks ago. Ricky Craven blew the field away. He took off early, ran out and hid. And nobody ever saw him again, and this is looking strangely familiar, and I didn't think that would happen with the full contingent of the Southern drivers and Winston Cup drivers here as well.
And now he's closing in on the red 12 of Tommy Ellis and the 29 of Dave Dion, and a close call for the leader just a moment ago. Now on the bottom side, the 12 is Tommy Ellis. Strange occurrence for him in Friday. He was in the garage. A car ran over his left foot. Now he thinks the foot is broken, but he would not go see a doctor because he says, I got to work on my race car. He did not take his shoe off last night because he was afraid it would swell up too much to get it back in. Now, problem is, Glenn, that he brakes with his left foot. And what does that do to, I mean, you've had injuries in a race car. What's it like when you go into every turn on this track going, uh-oh?
I didn't know these things had brakes, but seriously, it creates a problem because that thing's got to be very painful for him. And Ellis' his acumen, his ability on a racetrack like this, it's contingent upon his getting into these turns just the way he wants to. So he's having a little bit of a problem. He hasn't run up to his expectations since he got here, but that definitely adds to his problem.
It reminds me never to ask Tommy Ellis about a physical or some sort of a medical problem if that's his medical practice. Tommy is just been lapped, and we see now that Chuck Bound has been passed by Jimmy Hensley. There you see coming out of turn 4. That's Jimmy Spencer in car number 45, lapping one of the slower cars. Spencer out of Berwick, Pennsylvania. Behind him, another one of the Hoosier shod cars, Butch Miller in car number 75.
And this is a battle we will watch as there are 7 drivers on Hoosier. Now, Jimmy Hensley is clearly the fastest of the Hoosier drivers to this point. Ricky Craven, our pole sitter, is on Goodyear's, as is Harry Gant. Now, Harry Gant is still back in the pack, doing what he does so well in the early portions of a race, running well, but not necessarily charging toward the front.
But always moving towards the front. He just does it very quietly as the other cars slow down. He just doesn't slow down as much. He has a great ability to stay out of trouble. If there's a wreck, he just seems to be able to find his place and stay out of that early trouble. And after everything is settled down, there he is. There's Kenny Wallace now in car number 36.
And he's given up a couple of positions on the track. It was very unusual yesterday in the happy hour final practice session. They had the cover on the car, Glenn. They never went out at all. What sort of disadvantage would that put them under today?
Well, obviously you don't get the full advantage of all the practice laps on the track to know exactly what the car is going to do. Right now, he's struggling a little bit.
And we'll be back with more action here from New Hampshire after this. 41 laps are on the books of the Chevy dealers of New England 250.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
20 times last year, the world's best top fuelers fired it up in the final. And all 20 times, the outcome was exactly the same. Every single NHRA winner was powered by the same spark plug. Autolite, we feel pretty good about that.
As cars get older, they may need higher and higher octane, or they can't perform like they used to. But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3. You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
Today's coverage of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 is being brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil.
Add more life to your car.
Back here at the New Hampshire International Speedway, Ricky Craven continues to set an amazing pace up front, doing what he has done so well in this series all season long with the North drivers running up front early, but he's got a lot of other drivers right behind him, particularly that man, number 5, Jimmy Hensley.
At one point, he was over 4 seconds behind. The gap now 1.23 seconds as Jimmy Hensley in car number 5, the Oldsmobile, starting to track Ricky Craven down again. Craven on Goodyears, and Hensley on the Hoosier tires.
Hensley on Hoosiers. That sounds good, doesn't it? But right now, he's definitely the fastest car on the racetrack. You can see him continually as he goes through the turns. Look at how quickly he closes the gap there on leader Ricky Craven. It's only going to be a matter of about a lap more until he's challenging for the lead. That car is really dialed in.
What a way it would be for Jimmy Hensley to end the weekend. He celebrated a birthday on Friday here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. So the Virginia gentleman, another year older, and the way he's been running, I wouldn't say he's in any more debt this year. He's had a pretty good year. He should be on the plus side of things.
Well, definitely. And I'm not sure exactly how old Jimmy is. Probably in his
46.
46. He can't wait till he gets to be 51 years old like Harry Yen.
And we're watching the way the two leaders are getting through the turns, and it certainly looks like Jimmy Hensley is able to run down at the bottom of the racetrack a lot better than Craven.
Absolutely, Marcus. That's where his car is dialed in, really getting off these turns so much quicker than Craven is. Again, Craven expressed concern about the tires going away later on in the race. Obviously, Jimmy Hensley doesn't have that problem.
That's Billy Clark, the driver from Maine. In the Skoll Pontiac, he is out of the event early on. He'll pull it to the infield asphalt area, get out of harm's way, so we do not go under yellow.
And Clark was in a close battle with Dick McCabe for second in the Grand National North Points, so this obviously will cripple any chance that he has to overtake the Kennebunkport Maine driver for that position. Back up front, the 25 of Ricky Craven and the 5 of Jimmy Hensley. Normally, they both run number 25. Craven has the number he wants, and he has the lead, as he's had throughout almost the entire 49 laps of this event.
Jimmy Hensley has the number he wants right outside his windshield. He's been dialed in, catching that car number 25 of Ricky Craven. And like I said, he's really coming off the turns well. Hensley loves flat ovals of any length. His favorite place is Martinsville, and as we said at the top of the show, he's just like a big Martinsville. He feels right at home here.
1,500-foot straightaways here. That is our speed camera, and we see from that shot, Glenn, how important it is to get off the turns well here.
Well, you got to have the car set up to come off the turn, Mark, because the straightaways being so long, if you don't have the RPMs off the corner, they're not going to turn at the end of the straightaway. I don't care how strong an engine you got. If you lose 200-300 RPMs coming off the turn, you can't pick it up on the straightaway.
There's the leaders, 1, 2, 25, and car number 5 flashing by the speed shot. The gap there now just under 0.4 of a second. They lead the third place car of Chuck Bound by 3.5 seconds. So they're pulling away from the rest of the field, trying to get out there to decide this issue amongst themselves early on in the Chevy Dealers of New England 250.
And if you're just joining our telecast, we're happy to have you along with us. As we look back further in the pack, the 08, Bobby Dotter, the high side, Dave Dion in number 29, the low side, the 01 of Joey Karafis. Those are the two V8-powered cars in this event, and they are having their problems, obviously, on the speedway. Certainly the Dave Dion car.
Yeah, Dion has had problems since the outset. He also had an engine problem early in the race today. In fact, before they ever got the cars on the line, they worked on it all day, but I don't think that they got the problems corrected. They changed everything in the electrical system. He still looks like he's got an engine problem.
If you're just joining our telecast, we're happy to have you along here for 250 laps of Grand National action at the New Hampshire International Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. Ricky Craven has led all but a handful of laps. The only time he has yielded the lead is to Ernie Irvin. We have had no cautions thus far as we look at third place car Chuck Bound.
Bound just behind him, the yellow number 10, that's Ernie Irvin. Irvin started outside pole, took the lead at the drop of the green flag. Craven took it back, and he sort of settled in that fourth spot. And he and Chuck Bound about 3.5 seconds behind the lead automobile of Ricky Craven. Bound currently 6th in the points, and what a difference a year makes. He came into this race last year with a 200-plus point lead on the way to his first Grand National Series title for Hensley Racing. And this year, although he has won 3 races, they have struggled at times, although, again, they've won 3 races, and they've led the most laps. For most teams, that'd be something to jump for joy, but after you come off a year where you've won 6 races in the championship, you look at it as a step down, I guess.
Well, Mark, it has to be a little bit of a letdown to be the defending champion and then have things go wrong early in the year and put them behind in the points battle. But all in all, Chuck will tell you he's had a pretty good year. They're not disappointed. They know they can do better, but it's been a pretty good year.
And you can see how large the margin is between the first and second car all the way back to the third place position, as now the leader is lapping Bob Brunel. Now there's a number 59 car, the black 59 of Robert Presley and Butch Miller in the blue 75. That is battle for position on the track. Hoosiers on the Miller car, Goodyear's on the Presley car.
Miller's running pretty strong early on in this race, too. The Hoosiers on his car, as they are on Hensley's car, more than holding their own this week against the Goodyears. And we've got some smoking cars down in turn 1.
And we have caution on the speedway for the first time on lap number 55, as the car that is stricken is pulling off the speedway. That is Jamie Tomato, the 1990 Modified Tour champion. So as we go under our first caution of the day, we'll be back with more action from New Hampshire, where Ricky Craven is the race leader. Stay with us.
Full roast out here. We're 1,000 miles from anywhere. Is that a ship? No one will save us.
3 Miller Genuine Drafts.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
It's great. They fixed up that old truck and went out for their big driving lesson. You know, they'll never forget this day as long as they live.
Here's to fathers and sons, first-time driving lessons and comfortable blue jeans. Wrangler.
Mr. Morrison has just left his lights on. Mrs. Morrison is pregnant, very pregnant. So the Morrisons could be in trouble.
David, it's time.
Big trouble.
Oh, my gosh. Let's not panic.
Fortunately, the Morrisons have the Champion switch battery.
The hood.
If it ever goes dead, just switch to the reserve and start your car. Switch back, and the main battery recharges. The Champion switch battery, the battery with a spare.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
When the world of speed trade RPMs for RBIs, the result? A grudge match between the quarter trackers of the NHRA and the oval jockeys of Winston Cup. It's an off-track battle of racing's fastest superstars. A chance to finally settle the score. Who's the best in a benefit softball game? It's the All-Stars of Speed. NASCAR versus NHRA. 3:30 p.m., 2:30 Central Sports Sunday on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Pit road is a busy place as we're under a caution for the first time today in the New England Chevy dealers of New England 250 here in Loudon, New Hampshire. The leaders have come on and off pit road. The cars you see now are ones that were lapped. Chuck Bound's crew, led by Jeff Hensley, had the best stop. They came in third. They come out first. Just a great stop for them as we see that Ricky Craven will line up second on the restart. And then it will be Jimmy Hensley and Robert Presley. There's Kenny Wallace, still running strong. As we mentioned, he came into the race as the points leader, and he is still ahead of Bobby Labonte in this race early on in this event.
And the Grand National Championship chase over the last 4 races has been a lot like Christmas. You take the lead. No, you take the lead. No, I want to give you the lead. No, I'll give you the lead. It's gone back and forth every single race for the last 4 events.
It's also reminded me of a good old-fashioned slap fight. One guy hits the guy, whack. The other guy, okay, my turn, whack.
That sounds more like Christmas at my house when I was growing up. We weren't giving anything away. We were fighting for it.
Well, Bobby Labonte, in all fairness to him, and last week at Charlotte, he was an unwitting victim of an incident, not of his making it all, and still came back to finish 19th. The car, after the race, they essentially threw it away, but they did a good job of getting him back out there in a very early incident. Came back to finish 19th. Yes, did lose the late lead in the points, but could have come out so much worse if they hadn't been able to get that car back on the track.
just get word that Jamie Tomeno, who brought out the yellow flag when his car went up in smoke in turns 1 and 2, is officially out of this event. As you see the car slowly behind the Corvette pace car circulating around this track that's slightly longer than 1 mile in length. Chuck Bound, the leader now, as his team took the lead for him on pit road, and well, that's always a confidence booster for a race driver. And there's Ken Schrader with big problems underneath that Exxon Chevrolet, as his crew, a lot of smoke there. It looks like they were putting out a little bit of a fire, and sometimes the brakes get hot. That may be part of what they were trying to do there. But Ken Schrader, who was running pretty strong early on, a little bit of a problem.
Well, it is. It's kind of surprising to see no more excitement in the pit area. They just calmly put out the fire, whatever it was, said, okay, can't go back on the racetrack. If I were a driver sitting in that car and it was burning, I'd want to know what it is.
Well, here's the top 10 we have now, as everyone's basically sorted themselves out from the pit stop. Chuck Bound is the leader with, and we'll look just right down on the speedway there, as, of course, Ricky Craven sits in the 2nd position. Third is the 5 car of Jimmy Hensley. Then it's Robert Presley, Ernie Irvin. And looking at the 2nd 5, we see the Jimmy Spencer machine, followed by Jamie Obey, Ward Burton, who had such a sensational run last week, Kelly Moore, and Tommy Houston.
There's the back of Jeff Hensley, his father there to the left of him. They are the lead gang on the Nescafe Classic Pontiac for Chuck Bound, the reigning series champion. They're talking things over now. It looked like they had made some sort of adjustment during the pit stop. There you see Chuck Bound, the 37-year-old native of Portland, Oregon. He comes into this race having led the most laps on the circuit this year, 850. Second in that category is Kenny Wallace at 713, as Ken Schrader back in. And this time his crew a little more animated. They're going to climb into the car this time as opposed to just put out the fire and
I imagine Ken was probably a little more animated too. Find out, what the heck's burning under there, guys? Get somebody in there. Let's see what this is.
Yeah, before my feet start melting, you know, let's check this thing out.
That's probably the warmest some of those crew members have been for a while, too, because it was only 50 degrees at the start of today's race. They get in under there, and it's definitely hot.
Well, they ain't seen heat yet unless they send Ken Schrader back out there with a burning race car. He'll light a fire under them then.
Well, Ken is pulling back out after that pit stop, but he will lose a lap because the safety car is well past him already. 1 lap down for Ken Schrader. A tough break for that Exxon Super Bowl Chevrolet driver.
You see the cars now starting to tighten up into 2 rows behind the pace cars. Ken Schrader got out just ahead of the pace car. That means we got 1 lap to go. Chuck Bound, the leader. And this is his first time at the front of the pack all day long. And they took the lead under yellow. And as I was mentioning before, when your crew gives you the lead on a pit stop, you jump 2 spots, that's got to give you a big boost.
It's a tremendous advantage, Mark, obviously, to have a crew that can get you in, get you out ahead of the rest of the guys you've been racing on the racetrack. You might not have been able to pass them on the racetrack. You pass them in the pits. They do your work for them. You cannot say enough about a good pit crew like that. You know, I talked to Chuck Bound about this place. I said, Chuck, you've had some good luck and bad luck here, a couple of good finishes. You really seem to like this place, don't you? He said, well, yeah. He said, but you know what? I said, I like all these places. I love all these racetracks we go to. Wish we had more.
There's a stopwatch there. Of course, that is the ultimate truth in racing. You can say the car's running good, it's doing this, it's doing that. The stopwatch is the be-all, end-all in this sport. We're getting set to go back to green.
The lead lap cars are down on the inside of the speedway. Tony Hirschman is leading the cars that are 1 lap down on the outside as the green flag is out. And Chuck Bound gets an excellent jump to lead the field back into turn 1 as we return to green on lap number 63. And look at that land office rush into turn 1. Ricky Craven once again seems to have a little bit of trouble getting back up to speed on the restart. Bound moved way ahead of him.
Jimmy Hensley looks like he's getting ready to put a move. You see the car diving to the inside going into turn 3. There it is, car 5. That's Jimmy Hensley going to the inside of Ricky Craven. And just in front of them, the lapped automobile, car 51 for Mike McLaughlin out of Waterloo, New York. They're side by side. That's a battle for second.
Well, Craven chose to follow 51 McLaughlin through that turn, and he's a little slower than Hensley like. He ducked down to the inside, coming off 2, put a move on him. But once they got up to full speed, Craven was able to pull away from Hensley again. Be interesting to see now that Ricky Craven has made a pit stop, whether that concern he expressed about once they change tires and keeping the stagger correct is going to come into play here. Looks like right now they got a good matched set of tires.
He told us before the race when you and I were talking to him that the most important man on his team today is the tire man.
Absolutely. There's a guy that's under a lot of pressure keeping that number 25 car up front.
And we get a report just moments ago as we look at Jimmy Hensley that the powder that we saw on pit road with the 15 car of Ken Schrader was a fire extinguisher. They were trying to cool down his clutch. That's the first time I've heard of that, Glenn.
Well,
on a bucket of ice on.
Yeah, the clutch disc gets extremely hot. It is unusual to try to cool it down with the fire extinguisher, but evidently it worked. They got him back out, and he's moving up through the pack in the rear of the field.
Speaking of moving up, Ricky Craven has just chewed up the daylight between his car and Chuck Bound. I mean, he's already there again.
Well, we saw before the caution had come out that the 25 of Ricky Craven and the 5 of Jimmy Hensley had really pulled a good distance away from the then third-place car of Chuck Bound. So we'll see if the stagger adjustment that they made during that last pit stop is going to start to kick in as the tires begin to heat up. But that is a good battle. 63 Chuck Bound, 25 Ricky Craven. Back in the 5 car, Jimmy Hensley is 3rd. 4th is Robert Presley. And 5th, and no real battle on the speedway now as everybody is sorting itself out, is Ernie Irvin. But here goes a side-by-side. It's a battle for 2nd with Hensley, the preferred line, heading to 1.
Well, as they came off before there, Mark, heading into turn 1 now, Craven's car got a little loose, kicked out a little bit on him, and that enabled Hensley to pull under, make that move to pass him going down the front stretch. You don't see that very often here, being able to get the guy on the straightaway. Usually you make that time up in the turns, but Craven's car might be just a tad loose right now.
So many of the super speedway races this year, Goodyear has brought a radial tire as they're continuing to phase those in on virtually all the tracks. Last week at Charlotte, for instance, the entire field was on Goodyear tires. They were clearly a faster compound for that particular track. But here in New Hampshire, it is highest ply tires, so it's Hoosier versus Goodyear, and they seem to be pretty equal so far.
Well, unfortunately for Jimmy Hensley, it looks like the Hoosier tires did better with some wear on them.
And 67 laps are now on the board with Chuck Bound leading here in New Hampshire. We're just about a quarter of the way into the Chevy Dealers of New England 250. We'll be back with more in a minute.
For high step and hijinks, join the Statler brothers and their special guests, the Oaks. The Statler Brothers Show, Saturday night at 9, 8 Central on TNN.
Introducing this year's most affordable food processor, the all-new Vegematic. Its lightweight one-piece design makes it easier to use than complicated, expensive food processors. Nothing makes mounds of perfect French fries faster or better. Thick-sliced whole fruits and vegetables in one stroke. Makes quick work of thick-sliced pan-fried potatoes. Rotate the blade and the Vegematic thin slices. Look how easy it is to slice celery for soups and salads. Rotate the blade, and the Vegematic chops a whole onion without shedding a tear. Julienne carrots? No problem. Stainless steel blades make cleanup a snap. Get Vegematic, the affordable food processor, now just $19.99 from K-Tel.
Call now to order this easy-to-use compact machine, complete with stainless blades. Use your Visa or MasterCard and call toll-free 1-800-372-1300. That's 1-800-372-1300. Or send check or money order only for $19.99 plus $5 shipping to Vegematic, P.O. Box 10030, Stamford, Connecticut. Sorry, no CODs.
69 laps are on the books. We're under our 2nd caution as some of our leaders take the opportunity to come to pit road. Glenn Jarrett, what happened?
Well, you see Chuck Bound taking advantage of this caution to change those left side tires. Now, there you see car number 31 up against the wall. That's Steve Grissom in the Channel Lock Oldsmobile. Here in practice Friday morning, in the first practice, a little bit rainy, a little bit wet. Grissom is able to pull the car away. Minimal sheet metal damage there. He had a tremendous crash in practice. Tore the car up really bad, knocked the front snout way over on it. They brought the car back to the garage area. No less than 10 other teams joined in. Competitors, foes, friends alike joined in helping Grissom and his crew repair that race car. They wanted us to pass along their thanks. Channel Lock has signed a new deal with Grissom to sponsor that car for 15 races in 1992. But other than that news, it's been a bad weekend for Steve Grissom.
It's very typical of the Grand National Series teams. We talk about how much the sport has changed over the years, and it's more of a business now as Schrader's car number 15, back in the pits, and how things just aren't quite as cordial as they used to be. When push comes to shove, though, especially when it comes to the regular BGN teams, if one of them has a major problem, everybody will go to their rescue best they can.
And Ricky Craven, our pole sitter, also had problems in the practice session, and Cruz once again pitched in there. Now, obviously, the damage to his car wasn't very severe because he sat on the pole here for the event, but that is, as you say, this is a brotherhood, and this is a family of racing. And eventually, if you wreck, you're going to need the help, and someday, you know, you just play the favors back as you can.
There you see Steve Grissom's car, a little damage to the rear of that car. He's back on pit road, going to the attention of his crew chief, Mike Hillman. You know, it was wild on Friday morning here. It was cold. It was raining a little bit. We had 2 or 3 different crashes. Craven involved in one. Grissom, Tommy Ellis got collected in a deal. Troy Beebe was in an accident. He had to get a promotional spot, a promoter spot to get into this race. There's Steve Grissom coming into the pits. They'll go to work on the left rear of that Oldsmobile. But you were here. It was pretty wild. Every time we turned around there, another car came into the garage area bent up.
Well, it was, Mark. And, you know, I knew these guys were in trouble when I left the motel Friday morning and crashed the rental car in the parking lot. Oh, I can't say that. I'm sorry, guys. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Sorry.
You're supposed to say it was vandalized when you take it back, Glenn.
That's what I will say.
Well, that's part of the reason that you're also in the announce booth now and no longer behind the wheel of a race car.
And why he will be behind bars if you try to tell him of vandalism. After saying that on TV.
Well, we're going back to green in one lap as Kelly Moore's number is posted on the board, and he gets the black flag, so he will be called to pit road for consultation. A tough break for a man who's won 9 Grand National North races over his career.
Jimmy Hensley now has the lead. Ricky Craven second. Robert Presley is third. Jamie Obey, the northern driver, fourth. Glenn, what about the strategy? Some of the cars came in and got left side tires. They lost a lot of track position, but they've got 2 tires a little bit better than the rest of the game.
Well, Mark, you know, as quickly as that caution came after the first caution, I think that Chuck Bound and the other guys that did that are at an advantage right now. They got fresh tires all the way around. The other guys just got right side tires on. Obviously, it's going to take them a little bit of time to come up through the field, but as the laps wear on, their cars are going to be stronger for a longer period of time with that fresh rubber. I think it's a good move.
And sitting back there in the 5th position is Jimmy Spencer, followed by Ward Burton, who had such a sensational run in Charlotte last week, only to have it come a cropper late in the event.
A heartbreaker. I mean, that is the kind of defeat that will stay with Ward Burton every day of his life. He had him killed at Charlotte. Just had the Winston Cup drivers, everybody covered, led 162 of the 200 laps, didn't win.
Yeah, but he knows that he can do that now, and that'll stay with him for as long too, Mark.
And now it's Jimmy Hensley's turn to lead the field on the restart as we go back to action on lap number 73. And a quick move by Robert Presley down underneath to take over second.
There's definitely something wrong with Ricky Craven's car on the takeoff. It just won't take off as fast as the rest of the cars. That's every restart. He's lost a couple of positions. Presley wasted no time in diving to the inside and taking over the second spot.
Okay, the question now becomes, is it a function of gearing?
Probably is. He may be using a little bit different transmission than what the Southern guys have gotten. It doesn't come up to speed quite as quickly, but he's definitely a little slower on takeoff.
Hoosier leads the race. Second and third place are Goodyear tires. There's action back in the field. That's the battle for 5th. The red 45 of Jimmy Spencer in the car behind him. That is the 87, the white 87 of Joe Nemechek. Now, Jeff Burton, the blue car on the top side of the track, the number 1 is a lap vehicle.
Here's Nemechek going to the inside in that white Chevrolet. Spencer dropping back a spot. Nemechek has been the ultimate Mr. Consistent this year. He hasn't won a race, but he comes into this event 4th in the point standings. He's led only 3 laps the whole season. 1 at Daytona, 2 the next week at Richmond. Has not led us another lap, but has been so consistent. He's high in the point standings. Great job.
And he's only fallen out of 1 race this season. Now, there is the 36, the black 36 of Kenny Wallace, the Grand National points leader, right behind him. Harry Gant, who is going for his 4th straight Grand National victory in a row, which would tie a record that Sam Ard has held since 1983. We'll be back with more action with 74 laps on the books here. Hoosier mounted Jimmy Hensley is your race leader. Right behind him, Robert Presley. We'll be right back.
There is a giant in the tire industry, a Goliath whose products have cast a shadow over the high-performance world for years. Meet David. Hoosier Performance Radials. 4 models to fit cars and light trucks like yours. So pick up a set and take on the world. Call 1-800-344-6849 for the dealer nearest you. Hoosier Performance Radials. As serious about tires as you are about cars.
This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
The American Society for Testing and Materials set a new technical standard for antifreeze used to protect heavy-duty truck engines against boiling, freeze-ups, and corrosion. Only one of the 3 best-selling antifreeze brands made for cars meets that standard. It's the patented car antifreeze that can also keep heavy-duty engines running at their peak.
Protect your engine from freeze-ups and boilovers. Remember the heavy-duty standard. Don't stop short of the peak.
Hey, Mike, hand me my channel lock pliers.
Tommy, hand me that plier over there with the blue handles. What kind of pliers is that? These are channel lock tone and groove pliers. My dad uses them on his race car, too.
For the tough jobs and the small jobs, reach for Channel Lock, the handiest plier of them all.
Hey, guys, anybody seen the channel lock pliers?
Channel Lock. Be sure you're getting genuine Channel Lock pliers. Look for this trademark.
Back live for the Chevy dealers of New England 250 in Loudon, New Hampshire. Jimmy Hensley setting the pace, followed by Ricky Craven, Robert Presley, Jamie Obey, and Joe Nemechek. That should be car number 87. He is on the move, and right on the back bumper, you see those are the top 5 cars going down the back straightaway. Now car 59, the first car on your screen, he is third, followed by car number 41, Jamie Obey, the defending NASCAR North champion, who started a brand new team this year, won his first event in the last NASCAR North event. His team certainly got things back together again late in his campaign.
And a 3-time Grand National North champion, won in 88, 89, and 1990. This year, of course, Ricky Craven has just blown everybody away. But good battles for both first and second, and also back there, that battle for third. Now, the 87 car of Joe Nemechek, we've been talking about his consistency all season. That white 87 sitting behind the red 41. He has only failed to finish 1 race this year, and that's the kind of consistency that gets you up there in the points.
There is Tommy Houston and Tommy Ellis a little bit farther in the pack as the lead cars come out of turn number 4 and head on to this long 1,500-foot front straightaway here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. There's Kenny Wallace with Butch Miller in car number 75 just behind him. Wallace in the green and black car number 36. They're just diving underneath car number 9. That's Troy Beebe. Also right there, Jeff Burton. Now we get word that Joe Nemechek is 1 lap down in that Chevrolet.
And that's a bad break, because he's certainly showing a lot of strength after this last restart. The problems that he was having earlier in the event have obviously been remedied. Now there's the red, or the green 7 of Harry Gant. To the high side, he's passing the lap car of Troy Beebe. Harry Gant now going for that 4th Grand National win in a row in that Buick, the Ed Whitaker prepared car. Buick is getting out of the Grand National Division next year, so there is some question about if this race team will be back in 1992. It would be a shame to lose them. They have been such a strong force in the Grand National Division. Every time Handsome Harry is strapped on the helmet.
Bobby Labonte, Ernie Irvin going at it. Irvin in car 10, Labonte car 44. There's Chuck Bound. He made a pit stop a while back, lost a lot of track position, and those guys are really tangled up, battling for position.
And look at them go 3 wide into turn 1. As Chuck Bound went to the low side for just a moment and brought Bobby Labonte, actually had Bobby Labonte in front of him. Now Chuck Bound sitting back there in the position right behind him, and they have cleared some tough traffic.
Well, Mark, when you said Chuck Bound went to the low side, that didn't do justice to what he did. He came off the 4th turn right against the wall, saw those 3 cars abreast, drove all the way across the racetrack down to the pit wall and passed them all. Heck of a move by Chuck Bound.
Now the blue 96, that's Tom Peck coming off his best finish at Charlotte last week of the entire season. A 5th place run for that unsponsored Mark Thomas team. One of the really nice guys in the series. He's such a quiet driver, though, Mark, that sometimes you don't realize that he has strong runs going.
You might overlook him a lot, but he has not been out of the top 10 in points for 2.5 seasons. I mean, this car has been consistent, and they are certainly one of about 3 or 4 teams that you might look at and say, look, they deserve some sort of sponsorship. They run that well week in and week out.
And you see the yellow 10 of Ernie Irvin, who was so strong early in the event. And Glenn, it looks like he's drifting up the banking in both ends of the speedway now a little bit.
Yeah, definitely right in the center of the corner. The car's moving up a little higher than Ernie would like for it to, Mark. They made a tire change, and it looks like they could have gotten the stagger off. Now, you folks, you know, we talk about tire stagger this week and tire stagger next week. Every time you have a race, we talk about tire stagger. That is simply the difference in circumference. In other words, the distance around the outside of the tire, how big the tire is. If that changes too much, if that tire grows too much under heat conditions, it drastically changes the way that the car handles it.
And a simple way of describing stagger is to take a styrofoam cup and set it down on its side. The right side tires would be the large end of the cup, and the left side tires would be the bottom of the cup itself. And if you roll it around, you'll see how easily it rolls on that inside, and that's probably the simplest way of explaining what stagger is for those of you who may not be familiar with the term.
Kenny Wallace getting passed by Butch Miller. Jeff Burton going to work on him now at car number 99. That's the Armour Chevrolet. Wallace doesn't look like things are just exactly the way he'd like them underneath that Cox dry-treated lumber Pontiac.
Well, they're not to the halfway point yet, Mark, and he still is in the lead lap. We do have word now that Jimmy Spencer, car number 45, has had to retire for the day. Also, if we didn't mention it, Ken Schrader, that clutch problem was terminal for him, so he's out.
And Ricky Craven applying all sorts of pressure now up front as he goes down low. Will this be a battle for the lead? He takes the position rather easily.
Not much of a battle. That was more like a slaughter. He just drove under and went right by him. But again, Craven had driven right on Hensley's rear bumper for the previous 3 or 4 laps, was watching every move he made. He knew when the best time to get him was. Jimmy Hensley wasn't carrying his car into the turns quite as far as Craven could, and when he got to the straightaway, he just turned left, went right under him.
And with 88 laps in the books of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250, the leader now, Ricky Craven, once again, the pole sitter going after his 10th win of the year. Stay with us.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not? I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with the Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now by calling 1-800-289-4627 for a dealer near you.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out why people like Wendy's Super Value Menu best. We've got 9 delicious choices, just 99 cents each. Like our new Caesar side salad and Junior Cheeseburger Deluxe. Look, our Big Baked Potato is a meal by itself. And our Junior Bacon Cheeseburger comes with 2 strips of bacon. Sometimes I wonder why other places don't offer as much. I guess you have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Now get 9 delicious choices for 99 cents each on the Super Value Menu at Wendy's.
And isn't it true that this auto part did, in fact, come from the defendant's car?
Objection. Prosecution is leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
This part most definitely came from that car.
And how can you be sure?
I work for Napa Auto Parts. It's my job to be sure.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Napa people are parts experts, so they can answer any question, whatever the case may be.
Saturday and Sunday live on TNN Motorsports. As the 91 season gets closer and closer to the end, will Harry Gant continue to change the course of racing history? Can Dale Earnhardt keep his points lead from dwindling away? Or will the year come to a screeching halt? It's a wild weekend of live NASCAR racing at The Rock. AC Delco 200, AC Delco 500. Brought to you in part by Haviland Oil and Miller Genuine Draft. Saturday, 2 p.m., Sunday, 12:30 Eastern, live on TNN Motorsports.
As we approach the 100-lap mark of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250, Ricky Craven continues to lead, as he has much of the event, with Jimmy Hensley a close second. Robert Presley is third. NASCAR scoring has further updated us and said that Joe Nemechek is indeed on the lead lap, so he is fourth, and Jamie Obey is fifth. Kelly Moore, a great run for him back in sixth. Then it's Tommy Houston, Ward Burton, Bobby Labonte, and Chuck Bound. And in the Grand National battle, Kenny Wallace is 13th, Mark.
That means if things ended right now, which of course they're not about to, but Wallace would still walk out of here with a 20-point lead. He came in up by 33. So Kenny Wallace's main objective, he has got to finish today, hopefully somewhere in the top 10, and walk away with some sort of lead heading into the final 2 races at Rockingham and Martinsville.
Getting his first victory ever back in our TNN telecast from Volusia County Speedway in Barberville, Florida. An excited young man that day, then promptly backed it up with a win here back in July. And that was part of the reason they said that they did not come out and practice yesterday afternoon. They said, hey, we know what this racetrack is going to do.
There is Harry Gant, car number 7, the green and white Buick, just went underneath car number 99. Jeff Burton, that means Gant has moved up into the 14th starting position.
Gant is the car, as you say, Mark, right behind Kenny Wallace on the racetrack and in the standings. And if I were Kenny Wallace, I wouldn't mind keeping my car one position ahead of Harry Gant all day long, because in the last 3 races, that means he would win the race at the end of the day.
Over that entire month of September, now into October, they talk about, a lot of times race drivers talk about racing the track and that sort of thing. Everybody was saying, look, I'm racing Harry Gant. If I beat Harry Gant, chances are I'm going to win the race. There's Steve Grissom going underneath David Green in car number 8. Green coming into this race, he had problems early on, but coming into this race, he was the top Vortex rookie on the 1991 Grand National Series, and there's been a great crop of rookie drivers this year. Of course, Jeff Gordon pressuring him for the Rookie of the Year honors.
Well, absolutely, Mark. I think this year that you've seen an influx of some of the best new talent that we've seen in a number of years on the Grand National Circuit, in any circuit for that matter. A lot of great young drivers here with bright futures ahead of them.
We talked with Kenny Wallace yesterday, and we said, you know, with the points battle being as close as it is with Bobby Labonte, what is your strategy for today's race?
I don't think so. You know, it's been a situation where, like you said, it's showtime right now, and I keep saying to everybody, you know, there's no points to pad, so there's no point racing going on. It winds down to, if Bobby beats me, he takes the point lead. If I beat him, I take the point lead. So I really am just trying to focus on back what I've done to get here. You know, just enter each race, qualify as good as I can, and I consider myself a conservative race car driver anyway. So I need a little bit of luck. You know, luck hasn't been beside us here about the last 5 races. We had a good run at Charlotte. That was good. That got us in the point lead again. So, you know, we'll just go ahead and run Loudon like we did last time and hope everything ends up all right.
Now, Glenn Sherrod, you talked with both Kenny Wallace and Bobby Labonte. How are they handling the pressure of this title chase?
Mark, they're both handling it extremely well given the circumstances. You got to understand, both these guys are only 27 years old. They're young. They haven't had to face anything like this in their young careers so far. They're both handling it very well. There's been a lot of to-do made about how close friends they are as well as competitors, and they are. I was with them both Friday night at a show we did, at a little star catcher thing for TNN, and they're both pretty relaxed. They were joking around with each other and you know, talking about things other than racing, and that's what they have to do. If they dwelled on that subject all the time, it would really get to them. So, you know, they leave the racing to the racetrack once they get away from it, and they do their best to handle the pressure, and I think they're both doing extremely well.
And there's Harry Gant once again closing right in, just as he did the last lap. He moves underneath, going through turns 3 and 4, all the way below the white line. A strong battle for 13.
I don't think you're going to see Wallace challenge him too much. He's going to let Harry go on and take that position, fall in right behind him, because, again, if being one position in front of Harry Gant's a good place, and one position behind him's not bad either.
And he doesn't have Rusty Wallace in the same capacity as last week. Rusty was all over the place in Charlotte on the radio saying, hey, we know Bobby's had trouble, but slow down. Don't get yourself in trouble out there on the racetrack and squander the points lead.
Big brother's watching you.
It is no longer 1984. It is 1991. And that is our literary lesson here for today, as we've completed 102 laps of the Chevy dealers of New England 250. Ricky Craven continues to lead, but Jimmy Hensley is a close second.
He wonders if I even noticed that visual perfection produces unbelievably deep, rich, glowing color. An intense, dazzling, brilliant shine. I do. Visual perfection by Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
You will find shopping more convenient at Rosie's. First, there's probably a Rosie's store very close by, and we have made those stores smaller by design so that you can get in easily, find what you want quickly, and get out without a hassle. And you will find only first-quality merchandise at very low prices. In other words, an honest value all the time. Take another look at Rosie's. You'll not only save money, you'll save time, too. That's our promise.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember at a time like this, when your car has been sitting idle, when it's very dark, and very deserted, and very cold. Oh, thank heavens, you did remember Xerex antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex. And now, Xerex quality doesn't stop with your cooling system. Keep your car ready for the road with Xerex power steering fluid and Xerex brake fluid.
get older, they may need higher and higher octane to perform like they used to. But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3. You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
Back in Loudon, New Hampshire, Ricky Craven, 25 years old, driving well beyond those years as he continues to set a blistering pace here with 106 laps complete of the 250 that will make up today's race. Bobby Labonte sitting back in the 9th position. Kenny Wallace is back in the 14th spot. So the points battle right now is tighter than ever. This is the battle for 3rd on the Speedway. The black 59 of Robert Presley and the 87 of Joe Nemechek right behind him. The black 47 of Kelly Moore.
Kelly Moore has done a great job all day long. He's been in the top 10, now climbing into the top 5 and pressuring those guys. There's Presley back to the inside of Joe Nemechek. These three guys have been going at it hammer and tong for the 3rd position.
And you see the nose of the red car there. He is car number 41, Jamie Obey. He's also racing those guys for position. This is tremendous racing going on the racetrack right now for positions 3 through 6.
And we got an idea of what can happen if your car gets just a little bit loose coming up the turns for Robert Presley.
Yeah, 4 or 5 guys could go right by you. You saw that happen. When Nemechek went by him, he went by Presley. He kicked out a little bit, takes the position from him. Now Robert's got to work real hard, put the car in a little more strain trying to get that position back.
Folks, just a reminder coming up immediately after our coverage live here on TNN of this Grand National race from Loudon, New Hampshire. Be sure to stay with us for one of the most entertaining events that you'll see all season. The NHRA All-Stars and the NASCAR All-Stars trade their helmets for spikes and ball gloves in the benefit softball game that was conducted at Charlotte. Is an entertaining show that went right down to the final out. That comes up next here on TNN at approximately 3:30 Eastern.
Folks, you want to talk about fast? I'm going to leave this racetrack and get to Charlotte for that softball game.
I tell you, you found out just how much the competitors were, these NASCAR drivers and drag races. They really wanted to win.
Now, the red number 84, that is Todd Bodine. You're saying, wait a minute, 84? Doesn't he usually drive 34? Well, that's true. But when you have a combination Grand National, trouble over in turn 2 as there is contact with Troy Beebe. He spins in the Speedway, and there is caution out. And we are watching to see if he gets through clean, which he does. No contact. A scary moment as the driver's side door was shown to the field. Caution on lap number 110, Loudon, New Hampshire. The Chevy dealers of 250. We will be right back.
Hi there. Hope you're having a beautiful weekend. Join us for our big Columbus Day celebration Monday on Video Morning.
We will be here, and we hope you will, too. We'll have videos from Dolly, Patty Loveless, George Jones, Alan Jackson.
We'll have a gay old time. Will we?
We're going to sing?
We'll enjoy ourselves.
All right.
Pool the Masters way and learn from the best. 2 of America's favorite instructional videos are now available only through this special TV offer. Get tips from Steve Mizrak, Pretty Boy Floyd, Iwa Mataya, and other pool greats. Now for a limited time, you can order both videos for the price of one. Learn the secrets of breaks, banks, defense, position, angles, and trick shots like the massé and the jump.
Take it from me, The Miz. When you purchase Pool the Masters way and learn from the best, you'll learn everything you need to know how to shoot pool like a pro. With these 2 tapes, you can do almost anything, except beat me.
World champion Steve Mizrak takes you through the best way to improve your game. Call the number on your screen and we'll send you this wonderful 2-video cassette collection for just $24.95 plus postage and handling.
2 for the price of 1? How can you go wrong?
These videos have never been offered together, and they are only being offered for a limited time. Act now while supply lasts. Call 1-800-238-9300. That's 1-800-238-9300.
Most of the leaders have come on pit road as we're under caution for the 3rd time today in the New England Chevy dealers of New England 250. Lap 112, there's Kenny Wallace, cocked sideways in his pit. In the Cox dry-treated lumber Pontiac, his crew going to work on the right side. Under yellow, they're allowed to take on 2 tires. They've elected to go to the right side. There's Ricky Craven. He came in as the leader. A little bit of a slow stop for him. We'll see where his track position is when we come back and gather things up behind the pace car. There's Butch Miller, car number 75, making his way out of the pits. Man Apperson and the crew quickly getting him on and off pit road. This caution flag came out for a spin up in turn 1. Todd Bodine getting together with Troy Beebe. Here we are, turn 1. Bodine's car a little bit out of shape, car number 84, and you see him now go to the back end, gets loose, the front end comes up, clips the number 9, sends him spinning.
Yeah, and it looked like that Todd turned right intentionally, but that wasn't what happened at all. When he got into the turn trying to pass Beebe on the inside, he got in a little hot, and you could just barely see the back end kick out on the car. He had to turn it right to correct. It caught all at once, drove him right to the side of Beebe. So just one of those unfortunate things that happened. But, you know, on the screen, when you saw it happen all at once, it looked like that Todd turned right intentionally.
Unfortunate for Todd Bodine and Troy Beebe, but very fortunate for the rest of the field trying to chase down Ricky Craven and Jimmy Hensley as they're able to now tighten up behind them. We'll have more live from Loudon, New Hampshire. TNN live coverage of the Chevy dealers of New England 250 when we come right back.
Born of intelligent engineering. It's 100,000 ideas fused into one. It's responsive, innovative, refined. It's a driver's side airbag and anti-lock brakes. Introducing the all-new 88 Royale LS. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Miller genuine drafts.
Cold filtered Miller genuine draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
You know, when it's hot outside, the battery in your car is a lot like the battery in this oven, except at Baker Broil, only one battery's made to take the heat in this kitchen, the Champion Scorcher. No matter how hot it gets, you'll still be able to cook. The Champion Scorcher, built to take the heat. To get the Champion Scorcher, call for the dealer nearest you.
There is a giant in the tire industry, a Goliath whose products have cast a shadow over the high-performance world for years. Meet David. Hoosier Performance Radials, 4 models to fit cars and light trucks like yours. So pick up a set and take on the world. Call 1-800-344-6849 for the dealer nearest you. Hoosier Performance Radials, as serious about tires as you are about cars.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, where pit stops have shuffled the order at the top of the leaderboard. Jimmy Hensley, the leader, with Robert Presley second, Joe Nemechek third, Chuck Bound and Ricky Craven went from first to fifth in that sequence. Jamie Obie is sixth, followed by Tommy Houston, Bobby Labonte, Kelly Moore, and Tracy Leslie. And with more about what happened on those pit stops, let's go trackside to Bill Hennessy.
Basically, there's a lot of frustration down here on the pit stops. This is such a nice, wide pit lane with wide pit stalls, but we're finding drivers being blocked in by other drivers. A gesture from one driver to an opposing crew was derogatory in nature. I guess the reason was the frustration. There was a tire and a jack to his right. He couldn't pull out of his pits. For several drivers, they tried to make it up by going very quickly down the pit lane. They're going to be penalized at the present time. But it just amazes me how nice and wide these pit stalls are and how cramped they get on the first wave of pit stops.
Now that's Ernie Irvin, who was too fast down pit road. The speed limit today is 45 miles per hour. He will go back to the back of the longest line. Now, one of the issues also at hand here, too, is that Ricky Craven got blocked in by Jamie Obie as we get set to go back to green flag action.
Also dropping back is Kenny Wallace. Apparently, he might have been penalized as well during that caution period, so he's got a long way to go back to the front. Bobby Labonte now in the catbird seat as far as the championship battle goes as the leaders head into turn 1.
Well, they still got a little over half of this race to go, but that definitely was a bad break on behalf of Kenny Wallace to have to go to the back of the field like that. That's just all that many more cars that you've got to contend with, all the more chances for a wreck.
And we have confirmed that with NASCAR scoring that he was penalized for excessive pit road speed. So a lot of work yet to go for him as we are approaching halfway. The battle for the lead between the 59 Robert Presley, the 5 of Jimmy Hensley on the low side, Joe Nemechek in 87.
They look like fighter pilots, jet fighter pilots, as Joe Nemechek takes the lead for the first time, but he went in so hard he slid up the racetrack, couldn't hold it down. He drops back now as 4 or 5 cars now battling for the #1 spot. Hensley, followed by Joe Nemechek on the outside. Robert Presley there along with Jimmy Hensley, the red car, 63, that's bound. Then Ricky Craven, and there's Bobby Labonte all the way up to the 6th position.
Well, and you saw it in that exchange of activity there, Mark. You saw Nemechek take the lead going into 1. He just simply went in the corner so hard, taking the lead from Robert Presley. The car wouldn't turn, skated up the racetrack. He has fought back to 2nd place now. Won't surprise me to see him try Presley again real soon.
Robert Presley, who has a victory in one of our earlier races this year, a short track specialist, showing unusual strength in the super speedway. He has had a great second half of the 1991 campaign. As we have trouble over in turn number 2, that is Mike Rowe, one of the drivers going for the track championship. He gets back underway. There is no caution on the speedway. We stay green on lap 119.
Robert Presley has led 288 laps this season coming into this race. There's Jamie Obey side by side with Ricky Craven. Craven a little bit loose on the outside, but he's got a little bit of an advantage. And also you see the blue and white car sneaking in as Tommy used to.
And Glenn, here's a replay of the incident.
Well, you see him get together there, and he's very lucky that he didn't hit that inside retaining wall. You see him hit that earth bank there. It kind of catapulted him off back out into the raceway, which was the best thing that could happen to him. The worst thing that could happen to him was that during all that, they didn't throw a caution. So he's well over a half a lap behind now, and he was on the lead lap.
Now the 36, Kenny Wallace, trying to work his way back through the field after being penalized to the back of the entire line, the longest line on the racetrack for excessive pit road speed. On the low side, that's the black 8 car of rookie leader David Green, who has had early race problems and is a number of laps down.
Kenny Wallace has to be very careful right now. He's got to stay calm and collected. There's a long way to go. We haven't quite reached the halfway point yet, but he's just got to maintain his calm until hopefully some pit stops and other things that may happen to get a better track position.
Well, you see him battling back and forth with David Green, and the problem is, you know, it's awfully easy to use up your tires, your brakes, and the whole race car trying to move back up through the field like that. And like you say, he's got to maintain his cool and calm, but it's awfully hard to do. You've had a penalty like that. You want to get back up there and race with those guys you were racing with as quickly as you can, but you got to be calm about it. Save that race car. You can't take a chance.
But in that battle, I mean, that's not a battle for position on the speedway. That's only track position. But they are way behind the pack of cars on that restart. And we are wondering if there isn't a problem on Kenny Wallace's machine.
Well, there very well could be. It's awfully tough, particularly on this racetrack, to run lap after lap, side by side. Finally, Kenny moves around David Green. And, you know, the thing about it is, Mark, those guys in the back of the pack back there, they don't care who's racing for points and what the deal is. They just want to race, and they're not going to give you any quarter. They're going to race you as hard as they can. They think they're racing for position all day long. They're not going to give up.
That's Tracy Leslie, 72 down underneath Tom Peck in the 96 car. Tommy Ellis is 12, and 1 is rookie contender Jeff Gordon. As we look at the battle up front once again, being paced right now, Robert Presley in the 59 car, having one of his best super speedway runs of 1991.
Number of cars going underneath Tony Hirschman. 99 is Jeff Burton. He's running real strong this afternoon. Burton looking for his second win of 1991.
And the green zero car, that is Dick McCabe. Now there is a battle within a battle at this track this weekend. This track posts a $10,000 to win championship among the Grand National North drivers who compete here 4 times during the course of the season. It is a very close battle right now, and that's a lot of money for these North drivers, $10,000. Dick McCabe is leading it with Stubb Fadden second, Mike McLaughlin third, Jamie Obey fourth, and Mike Rowe, who had that spin, sitting in the 5th spot. So that is a battle within a battle within a battle in this afternoon's contest.
Pretty big carrot for these NASCAR North drivers to go after. Robert Presley in that Alliance Truck Training Center's Oldsmobile looking very strong, starting to edge away from the field as we get the halfway marker. 125 down, 125 to go in the Chevy dealers of New England 250 here live from Loudon, New Hampshire at Bob and Gary Bear's beautiful New Hampshire International Speedway.
And isn't this an interesting changing of the guard to some extent? Here we have Joe Nemechek, who has never been to victory lane, Robert Presley, who has only 2 wins, and they are the 2 drivers setting the pace here this afternoon.
Robert Presley has been, in my opinion, guys, the strongest true Busch Grand National competitor over the last 6 weeks. He has been strong as a Dickens. His 2 wins have come at Orange County. Of course, he won a race here on TNN in Orange County. He loves, again, he's one of these guys that grew up on flat half-mile ovals. This is just a big half-mile, being twice as big. He's very comfortable on this type of racetrack. Also, they've got a new engine man. Ben Barnes is building their engines now, so that just made him a lot stronger. You're looking at Jeff Gordon and second-place points contender Bobby Labonte right now.
Now, Bobby Labonte is moving back through the pack just a little bit. He had been as high as 5th at one point in the race. There is the 7 of Harry Gant, passing Dave Dion, who we report have ignition problems on that Ford entry.
Here's Harry Gant again, still battling Butch Miller and Kelly Moore. That's battling for positions in and around the top 10 spot. And Harry Gant, again, you know, this is when he starts to really show what he's got. You know, he rides around, keeps out of trouble, dials the car in, and then slowly but steadily but deadly, he works his way to the front.
Well, he didn't get the nickname Hurry and Harry for nothing, Mark, but he is taking his time, pacing the car right now, just feeling it out, seeing where it runs best, what it does best. He's not in any hurry right now. He's got a little over half the race left, so.
Oh, we have a report from the pits that Kenny Wallace was tagged in that incident with Mike Rudd. Now, we thought it was a one-car incident, but there was some contact there, and it's part of the reason that Kenny Wallace is having problems right now. And we'll be back with more action as we have just passed halfway here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Robert Presley, the race leader. We've still got a long way to go. Stay with us.
The American Society for Testing and Materials set a new technical standard for antifreeze used to protect heavy-duty truck engines against boiling, freeze-ups, and corrosion. Only one of the 3 best-selling antifreeze brands made for cars meets that standard. It's the patented car antifreeze that can also keep heavy-duty engines running at their peak. Protect your engine from freeze-ups and boilovers. Remember the heavy-duty standard. Don't stop short of the peak.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
Hey, I like to save money as much as the next guy. But what are the odds that there's going to be a sale on the parts you need when your car breaks down? Hey, it's not going to happen. That's why I go to AutoZone. I mean, sure, you could wait around for a couple weeks and maybe beat their price by a few pennies someplace else. But I don't want to wait for a sale when I need a part. Now, what more could you ask for?
Today's coverage of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 is being brought to you by the more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price.
We're under caution for the 4th time this afternoon. Steve Grissom involved for the 2nd time in bringing out that yellow flag. Problems in turn 2. There's Grissom, the blue and white car, just up in the left-hand part of your screen. He gets together with Jeff Berry. And now you see his car starting to cut loose, starting to make the spin.
Well, just that contact when you got a flat banking like this, Mark, it doesn't take too much contact to get a guy sideways like that, right in the critical point, the apex of that turn. And they bumped, and it just sent the rear end of Steve Grissom's car right out from under him. Fortunately, nobody made any serious contact. The 66 car is headed straight into the wall right there, just got up in the marbles. That's Canadian driver.
Dean Ferry, a 19-year-old, the only foreign driver in today's field. As Steve Grissom is back under power, but he's been having a long weekend so far.
Well, we're under caution, lap 132 of 250 that make up the Chevy Dealers of New England 250. We'll have more live from the New Hampshire International Speedway in just a moment.
You promised me something really special for my birthday. A whole weekend in the great outdoors. Without me.
Here's to the great outdoors, men who understand, and comfortable blue jeans. Wrangler.
2, 3. Davy Allison believes. Mario and Michael Andretti believe. Don Prudhomme believes. For complete protection, you need a complete motor oil. Haviland Formula 3 motor oil.
Yeah. This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
When the world of speed trade RPMs for RBIs, the result? A grudge match between the quarter trackers of the NHRA and the oval jockeys of Winston Cup. It's an off-track battle of racing's fastest superstars. A chance to finally settle the score. Who's the best in a benefit softball game? It's the All-Stars of Speed. NASCAR versus NHRA. 3:30 p.m., 2:30 Central Sports Sunday on TNN, the Nashville Network.
We're back live at the New Hampshire International Speedway where we were getting set to go back to green. You see the cars bunched up, but there was a piece of debris on the back straightaway. There it is right there, so they will take one more lap around this 1 mile super speedway. Joe Nemechek is currently the leader after pit stops, but here's the mid-race summary. This is no longer valid, of course, after that set of pit stops, but Robert Presley was the leader. The average speed, 104.798 miles per hour, 8 lead changes among 6 drivers, 3 cautions for 15 laps, and just 6 of the 46 cars that started the race are currently out.
And those 6 are Dave Presenti's Ken Schrader, Joey Carafas, Jamie Tomeno, Jimmy Spencer, and Davey Allison, an early engine victim. Now, the impressive thing that we have seen this afternoon is the run that is being made by Robert Presley, a man who is noted more for his short track prowess than on the big tracks, as they will attend to that debris on the speedway and will be under caution here for at least another lap. Now, Robert Presley has made a smart move up through the points, but he's making his 4th trip here to the New Hampshire International Speedway, and we asked him how things have improved for him here.
Yeah, we run good here every time we come here, besides leaving with car destroyed, but we're looking forward this time. This is the best we've run here, the trips we've made, and I'm looking forward to winning our first one here.
Right now, currently, it looks like he is 14th on the racetrack as he came in under that caution flag. Joe Nemechek, as we mentioned, the leader in car number 87. His best finish this year, a 3rd at Hickory. The last time here at New Hampshire, he was 6th. And this is just the 3rd race all year he has led. He led the first 2, a lap at Daytona, as I mentioned early, 2 at Richmond, and almost the entire season goes by before he leads again. But that doesn't tell the whole story. He has been consistently fast and a consistent finisher all season long.
No doubt about that, Mark, and that's what it takes to stay up high in the top 5 in the points like that. Nemechek's had a good year. One thing that we've got to comment on right now is Bobby Labonte made a pit stop then, along with Robert Presley, Jimmy Hensley, a lot of the guys. Nemechek did not pit, neither did Chuck Bound, nor Ricky Craven. Another guy that didn't pit and gained a lot of track position who was in trouble was car number 36, Kenny Wallace.
And from that shot we showed you just a moment ago from turn 4, you notice that there are very few vehicles in the infield here. Well, that's partly because of the terrain of this area. This is wetlands that is environmentally protected. There's a lake right there that you see in the foreground. And so Bob Baer had to build this facility around that with environmental concerns in mind.
We were here in July. It was very hot, and it rained a lot one morning. We came to the racetrack, and I guess I'm going to call them polywogs or whatever you want. Little baby frogs were everywhere in the pit area. They had come out of that little pond, and I'm not quite sure what I called them as a little kid. I thought it was polywogs, but
I think your biology class worked. I think that's what they're indeed called. Yes.
I'm digressing quite a bit. We're getting set to go back to green. Here we go.
And the frogs may be green, and the action on the speedway is green once again as Joe Nemechek gets a big jump as we're back under green on lap number 137. Chuck Bown is sitting in the second spot, followed by Ricky Craven and Jamie Obey. The three-time Grand National North champion. There is Bobby Labonte back in the pack in the red 44, 2 positions behind him. Harry Gant in the green number 7. They are working through race traffic. Bobby Labonte has been in the top 10 for the last 50 laps.
Bobby Labonte Sr., of course, the crew chief on that car. They have got to be taking a deep breath. He is in dangerous territory right now in the middle of that pack with some slower cars that have already been lapped. He'll have to be very careful about how he makes his way back to the front. Basically the same position Kenny Wallace was facing before the yellow flag.
And now Kenny's up into the top 12 or 15 first cars on the racetrack, and he has probably moved about 4 or 5 positions ahead of Bobby Labonte in the standings. So that pit exchange there was very crucial to the points battle as well as anything else for Bobby Labonte and Kenny Wallace.
And unofficially, we get a report that Kenny Wallace is sitting in 9th position, so he is very close to Bobby Labonte at this point. Point shuffle wouldn't be too great right at this moment.
Well, just simply add a little bit to Wallace's lead. Obviously, things are not going to finish this way.
If the history of this track is any indication, they certainly won't. There is always a lot of movement in the latter stages of this race, particularly if we stay green, as adjustments are being computed right now in Harry Gant's pit.
They are looking at fuel mileage, which may play a factor later on in this race. They're sort of taking a look at things.
No, they're not. They're counting up all the money Harry's won lately and what their percentage of it is.
That could be the case as well.
They're going to need a lot bigger calculator as 59 Robert Presley, who was the leader before this last caution, is working his way back through traffic. Always dangerous moments, especially when he's seeing drivers from the Northern Division that he's not used to running with.
It's always a concern, Mark. You're racing against guys that you only race against 2 or 3 times a year. You don't know their habits, what they might do, whether they're going to give you the inside, the outside, how hard they're going to race you, whether they're going to give you any room at all. Makes you be a little more careful going up through there.
Robert Presley is sitting back in the 10th position in the middle of the traffic right in front. The gold 51 of Mike McLaughlin. That is a lap car. He is looking to work underneath him. He has clearly been one of the best cars in the Speedway ever since about lap 75, the 98 car Ron Lamell Jr. He is also a lap vehicle. Now there's the 6 of Tommy Houston, right in front of him, the 31 of Steve Grissom, who's had trouble on this track several times today, both in practice and in the event itself.
Tommy Houston, of course, trying to end this winless streak that he's been battling all year long. He's had a couple of close calls, but no cigars for that team. And things get a little bit edgy this time of year. When you get this close to the end of the year, you're used to winning every year, and you haven't yet. Start to squeeze the trigger a little bit tight.
Well, Mark, he's been racing in this series, this division, for 10 years.
And there was contact between the 72 of Tracy Leslie and the 6 of Tommy Houston in the center of the backstretch.
Interesting to see if the contact initiated by Leslie is returned by Houston. But as I started to say, this is Tommy's 10th year on the series. He's won a race, at least one race every year. He doesn't want 1991 to go down as the first year that he hasn't won a race in this division. He is bent on winning a race in the next 3 races.
And he is one of a number of drivers who are in the process of working out sponsorship negotiations as lap times are telling the crews exactly what the race car is doing. Those stopwatches, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, don't lie. No matter what a driver says, the stopwatch is the ultimate telltale. As now Chuck Bown has closed in on the rear deck lid of Joe Nemechek. Bown had a stretch up in the lead earlier part of this event, and he's right back up there again. Finished second here back in July. He obviously loves this speedway.
Ricky Craven also starting to move in there. That 3rd car in the pictures, Ricky Craven, who dominated the action early.
3 car in the pictures, Ricky Craven. 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 3
Chuck Bound moving into the number 2 spot as we saw Jimmy Hensley staring in on the battle. Dave Dion in car number 29, the Ford V8 powered car. He is definitely having problems, and the yellow flag has not come out.
He's sitting there over in turn 2.
Yeah, that's an escape road. That's part of the road course that is part of this complex, too. And he is definitely out of harm's way because that looks like he's at the entrance to pit road. He's not. He's at an escape road over on the backstretch coming off turn 2.
In fact, it seems most of our trouble this afternoon so far has come up in the turns 1 and 2 area. This is heading toward 3 and 4. Our infield camera, beautiful backdrop here to the Speedway. It is right at peak season of the leaves here. And I would have to think that sometimes for the drivers, certainly not at speed, but when they're trying to work on their race car, that it's a little bit distracting for them, as caution is on the Speedway for the Dave Dion stalled car over in turns 1 and 2. It is our 5th caution of the afternoon, and it comes out on lap number 146.
Just when it looked like Chuck Bound and Ricky Craven were getting set to make the move on Joe Nemechek, the yellow flag comes out for the 5th time, lap 146. That's how many we've run here in the Chevy Dealers of New England 250. And as Dave Dion is pushed back to the garage area, we'll be right back.
For high step and hijinks, join the Statler brothers and their special guests, the Oaks. The Statler Brothers Show, Saturday night at 9, 8 Central on TNN.
We all know how much fun playing the guitar can be, but until now, learning meant months of tedious lessons costing hundreds of dollars and getting limited results. Well, no more. Now you can learn to play any guitar in only 30 days. In fact, you'll actually be playing from the very first day, even if you've never held a guitar before. How's it possible? With the revolutionary Guitar Today video program. Rock, country, folk, pop, or jazz, you'll be playing guitar from the very first day.
When I first heard about the Guitar Today video, I was skeptical. But I tried it, and now I'm playing electric guitar in my own band.
I ordered the tape for my son, and he played his first song in only 1 day. Then my daughter used the program, and she did just as well. Now my husband is showing off with how well he played.
Use your credit card and order your 2-hour videotape and instructional workbook for only $29.95 plus $3.95 shipping. Call now at 1-800-257-0800 or send your check to the address shown. Sorry, no CODs.
We're back live in Loudon, New Hampshire, as the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 is starting to draw to a close. We're just past the halfway mark. 147 laps complete of the 250 that will be run this afternoon. And Kelly Moore of Maine is a brand new leader of this race. He's been running strong all day. For the first time today, he looks like he finds himself on the point.
And folks, since we have a moment here, we'd like to remind you that TNN's live NASCAR racing coverage continues next weekend. Now, we've got the Saturday action, Saturday, October 19th from Rockingham, North Carolina, the AC Delco 250 Busch Grand National Race. That will start at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, stop number 27 of the Winston Cup Tour. It's the AC Delco 500. That race, noon on TNN, following TNN Motorsports Magazine. Both those shows live right here on the Nashville Network.
Glenn, one observation. One of the things that I'm thinking about right now is that some of these cars come on during these pit stops, some stay out, some take track position, some give up track position. It's getting down to the point in the race where it's going to be a roll of the dice situation. If you give up track position and we have a long green to the finish, then they're going to be out of any chance to win the race. If they guess right, stay out, they may be in good possession to win. Or we're getting to that point in the race where you may not get the yellows bang, 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 just like we've been getting them lately.
Well, that's right, Mark, and I'm kind of questioning Kelly Moore's moves right now. The last 2 pit flag or caution flag periods that we've had, he has not pitted. So he is elected to stay on the track for track position. He obviously cannot go the rest of the way on fuel. Chuck Bound, Harry Gant, several others jumped in for just fuel only on that stop. They're going to gamble probably if this thing goes green, they can make it the rest of the way.
Well, let's go down to the pits and Bill Hennessy.
Very quickly, just to relate what you guys are talking about, most of the cars wanted to go to lap 150, 100 miles away. They felt they could make it, and everybody wanted to chance it on fuel. If they have to come back, take on tires, that's going to be a question anyway. But everybody came in, took on fuel with the exception of 36 car. Kenny Wallace took on right side tires.
You see Butch Miller now coming in. Van Apperson, the crew chief there, topping off the tank on the Food Country USA car. And again, it looks like some people are going to try to stretch it to the very end. And of course, we get a late caution then you really get to some tough decisions.
And we talked to a number of crew chiefs before the race this weekend, and we said, what is the maximum you can go on fuel? And the general consensus was somewhere between 94 and 102 or 3 laps. They think they could go maybe a little bit further if they absolutely had to, Clint, but you're looking a bit skeptical at that. And what are your thoughts? You sat behind the wheel of a car, and you know how to compute fuel mileage in these V6 engines.
Well, my skepticism relates to what Jeff Loudon did last week at Charlotte. Of course, he wasn't on a flat track. When you're on a flat racetrack like this, you have to slow the car down more in the turn, so therefore it takes more fuel coming off the turns to get the car back up to speed. So it takes a little more fuel. I think they can run close to 100 miles.
Kelly Moore leads the field as we go back to green with the 99 of Jeff Burton going up to the high side. He's second place. He's making his move for the lead. Robert Presley is third, and Jeff Burton gets the spot as they head into turn 1. Nose to tail, those front 3 positions. Jeff Burton, the South Boston, Virginia driver. He's looking for sponsorship for next year as off the pace. That is Ernie Irvin, the outside pole sitter, having problems in his McTool Chevrolet. He is up on the high side entering 3. There is no problem. There is no caution.
There's Jeff Burton across the stripe, leading this race officially for the first time. Burton started 27th. And he has quietly made his way to the front in that Darrell Bryant prepared Chevrolet out of J&J Racing out of Danville, Virginia.
And Presley looking now to the low side. He wants to take over the second spot, and he can't quite get inside him. Yes, he does. Charging into 3. Can he make it stick?
He had to back off that time. You can't turn that car, go in that hard, turn that car down on the racetrack. Interesting to see, once again, there's Ernie Irvin in the pits. Looks like he cut a tire down, getting right side tire, so that's a bad break for him. He does go 1 lap down right now. What I started to say was on the restart there, you see Irvin pulling away. On the restart, a Northern car leading again, but when the flag comes out, he was slow to take off. I don't know if these guys run different transmissions or rear gear ratios or whatever. That should be all the same, but there's a problem there.
And look at the width of that pit road, 65 feet. It is one of the widest in all of motorsports. The front straight is also 65 feet wide, and I can't think of another racetrack in the country where a pit road and the racetrack itself have an equal width.
No, it sure makes things awfully nice for the guys that work the pit crews. They have a very dangerous job, one that I certainly wouldn't have.
What a great battle there on the inside, car 25. The man who led this race early, the pole sitter Ricky Craven, also there. Steve Grissom, Stub Fadden in car 16, goes up high, bumps into Grissom. There now is the 25 car, moves up 2 spots. He's touched by Fadden, and we'll see if they get out of that thing okay.
Those are Grand National North drivers. A tough, close call for our pole sitter, 25-year-old Ricky Craven. 58-year-old Stub Fadden, one of those drivers involved in a $10,000 chase for the track championship here as we look back up front.
Going down the front stretch, car number 5, Jimmy Hensley, blows an engine, so that great run that he had going looks like it's up in smoke right now. The caution flag is out.
Jimmy Hensley, it seems like this racetrack has been a thorn in his side. He came here earlier in the year right in the thick of the battle for the championship, lost 120 points, and he'll lose a bunch more today as that great run goes up in smoke. We're under caution flag number 6. They're racing back to the flag. Here is Robert Presley, Kelly Moore. Moore will take him at the line. We're 155 laps in the New England Chevy Dealers 250 here in Loudon, New Hampshire. We'll be back with more as Kelly Moore is the leader.
And isn't it true that this auto part did, in fact, come from the defendant's car?
Objection. Prosecution is leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer the question. This part most definitely came from that car.
And how can you be sure?
I work for Napa Auto Parts. It's my job to be sure.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Napa people are parts experts, so they can answer any question, whatever the case may be.
There is a giant in the tire industry, a Goliath whose products have cast a shadow over the high-performance world for years. Meet David. Hoosier Performance Radials, 4 models to fit cars and light trucks like yours. So pick up a set and take on the world. Call 1-800-344-6849 for the dealer nearest you. Hoosier Performance Radials, as serious about tires as you are about cars.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
The temperature never drops below Xerox. That's very important to remember at a time like this, when your car has been sitting idle, when it's very dark and very deserted and very cold. Oh, thank heavens, you did remember Xerox antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerox. And now, Xerox quality doesn't stop with your cooling system. Keep your car ready for the road with Xerox power steering fluid and Xerox brake fluid.
After some pit stops, pit road is a lonely place once again as we return to the Chevy dealers of New England 250. We had some wild action coming off of turn 2 just a few moments ago before that latest caution, Glenn.
You see the cars coming off of turn 2 there is a big pack of cars. What happened? Kenny Wallace got bumped going into the corner, got a little bit out of shape. Ricky Craven went high to miss it. You saw him do a great job. Now, the car that dives down low, the red car, is car 41 of Jamie Ovey. He went all the way to the bottom of the racetrack to miss that. Real good job of driving by about 4 different guys there. Watch 41 there. It's another view.
Here's 25 underneath the 41 car, and you watch him jump out ahead of him as or car number 16 rather, as they jump out of that turn. Craven starts to slide up high. He's tapped a little bit, the 31 into the 16, into the 25. Craven sideways, and look at Obie driving right underneath.
Good job by all those guys.
What goes through a driver's mind when his car gets cocked about 30 degrees sideways after a tap?
Oh, no!
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Nah, really, in a situation like that, you know, the biggest thing is, you feel like that you can straighten the car out, but you're just praying that nobody else bumps you again, because if somebody else bumps you, when you're that far cocked sideways, you're going to go on around.
And great piece of driving, as we mentioned, by everybody, because right in the middle of that, too, is Steve Grissom, who's had his share of trouble today. 156 laps are complete. We'll be going green in one more time around the Speedway. Just a reminder again, if you're just joining our telecast, coming up right after this Grand National race, we will be having the coverage of the NHRA NASCAR All-Star Benefit Softball game that was played in Charlotte recently to benefit a number of worthwhile charities. It went right down to the final out that comes up at 3:30 Eastern here on TNN.
And like any charity softball game, it was all in good fun. Nobody cared who won. They were just there to have a good time.
You believe that? I've got some of this swampland right outside the racetrack here. I want to sell you for a reasonable price.
In the locker room after that game, I mean, Les Richter and Dick Beatty, of course, of NASCAR, were the coaches of the team, and Felix Sabates was the honorable, or the honorary owner of the team, playing George Steinbrenner, and you thought they just won the Daytona 500 and the championship all rolled up in one.
I can sum it up real briefly. The last out that was made was hit to my brother playing shortstop, and he told me that when he fielded the ball and came up to throw the ball, because it was a close play at first, he said he was more nervous then making that out than he was when he crossed the finish line beating Davey Allison by 8 inches. So you think those guys don't care?
Well, he knew he'd beaten Davey Allison by 8 inches. He didn't know if he was going to throw the ball in the stands or not. As we go back to green flag action, lap number 158, Robert Presley, the race leader once again, as we now have 90 laps to go. Most of the drivers are in their fuel window to go the distance.
Right behind Presley, car number 72, Tracy Leslie, the Michigan driver, who's had an up and down year, but he's run strong all day long, and he's in position as this race gets down to decision time. There's Leslie there in car number 72. The car to his outside is the lap car of Tony Hirschman. Right there in the third spot is Tommy Houston. And Joe Bessie in car number 64, a guy we haven't talked about at all today, is riding in the fourth spot. He's now got Chuck Bound beside him in car number 63.
And he is caught behind some lapped cars there. Tommy Ellis, the 12 car, is a lap machine. Joe Bessie won the first Grand National North race of the season right here at NHIS. So this is one of his best super speedways. Northern drivers really don't run that many tracks of a mile in length or more. Heading out into turn 3 now. Robert Presley has pulled off to a sizable advantage. Now there is the 44 car Bobby Labonte, part of the Grand National Championship. Right behind him, Jamie Obey, who's got through that last incident nicely.
Also Ricky Craven there. Craven's locked in the back and right behind Jamie Obey, trying to find some racing route.
Now there is Kenny Wallace, the 36, the black 36. Kenny Wallace right behind him, Jeff Burton, who has taken a stint up in front here. Outside him, the blue number 1 of Jeff Gordon, a rookie contender.
Labonte looks like 3 or 4 positions ahead of Kenny Wallace when you take out the lapped automobiles. So the point chase. At this particular point, Labonte would gain a few points, but probably in all likelihood, if the race ended right now, would not take the lead.
As they come down the 1,500-foot front stretch, they have to be careful with the lap traffic and also drivers with which they are not that familiar. And very close there in turn one, Glenn.
Well, a flat racetrack like this, anytime you got a group of cars going in the turn all at the same time, and there's always going to be one or two guys going for the same spot on the racetrack. So I got to take my hat off to all the guys. I think everybody's just done a tremendous job, because this is one of those places that with these flat turns, you get a little bit out of the groove and into the marbles area. It doesn't take much to stuff that thing in the wall. We've had a couple of spins, but they've been just that, just minor, relatively harmless spins. So good job to everybody out there today.
Robert Presley, the Asheville, North Carolina driver setting the pace here. Now Tracy Leslie having one of his best runs of the season in that Detroit Gasket Oldsmobile. He has a second-place finish to his credit at Indianapolis earlier this season. He would really like to put a victory on the board. He sits third in the Rookie of the Year chase. This has been one of the more spirited chases that we have seen ever since this award was first instituted.
A great rookie crop in 1991. As a matter of fact, first time in Busch Grand National Series history, rookies finished 1, 2, 3, and that was a race that we saw down in Lanier, Georgia.
And it was Mike Wallace, I believe, who was finished in the third position. We had David Green winning the race, Jeff Gordon second, and Mike Wallace third. So that gives you some sense of just how competitive this series is. We've had 19 different pole winners this season, which is a Busch Series record.
You're looking at those two cars going off the fourth turn. Watch when they go into the turn. Just a great shot of the two cars. The red car, orange car of Tracy Leslie in second place. Watch how he closes up on Robert Presley right in the middle of the turn. He's just a little bit quicker right there. But as they accelerate and start off the corner, Presley's car gets a little better bite, and he opens that gap back up again. So good race, good battle going on between those guys.
And they are starting to creep away from the third place car of Tommy Houston. Just there's Tracy Leslie in car 72. A little bit farther back from them is that third place machine coming off the fourth turn. You see the lead two cars, then the white and red car. That's Tony Hershman. He's down a lap. The third place car is Tommy Houston. That blue and white car number 6. And just behind him, Chuck Bound, who is running fourth in car 63.
And this is quite a contrast for Tommy Houston, who stuffed a car coming off of turn 4 last year, narrowed it up considerably, took it home, basically threw it away. He comes back here, and this is one of his best super speedway runs of the season. His best finish in 1991 was at Volusia County Speedway. Kenny Wallace's first win. He finished second there. Now there, 44 Bobby Labonte, 41 Jamie Obey, and right behind him, that's the 25 car of our pole sitter Ricky Craven, as Obey has been one of the best cars in the Speedway after his tires have come back up to temperature.
Oh, absolutely. Obey's been strong all day. He's driven a very smart race. You saw him make that move a while ago. Now you see Craven getting under Labonte. Right now, Labonte should let those guys go. He got a good bite coming off the corner there, but you don't want to be on the outside racing these guys for too many laps, particularly Craven. Craven seems to have a little bit quicker car than Bobby right now, but being a true racer, Bobby's not going to just give him the position.
And another close call for Craven just a moment ago coming off turn 2 as he broke loose ever so slightly down at the bottom of the track, and that could have had significant implications for the championship if he had lost it. And we'll be back with more action here from Loudon, New Hampshire, where 167 laps are on the board. Robert Presley continues as your leader, Tracy Leslie second.
Competition? Yeah, we got a bunch. But we've been in business for 76 years, and we intend to be in business for at least 76 more. If that means change, we change. We have even increased our commitment to service. Today, every single Rosie Store associate is personally rewarded for providing you great service. Take a new look. Give them a try. We are all totally committed to doing whatever it takes to satisfy you. That's a promise.
Mr. Morrison has just left his lights on. Mrs. Morrison is pregnant, very pregnant. So the Morrisons could be in trouble.
David, it's time.
Big trouble.
Oh, my gosh. Let's not panic.
Fortunately, the Morrisons have the Champion switch battery.
The hood.
If it ever goes dead, just switch to the reserve and start your car. Switch back, and the main battery recharges. The Champion switch battery, the battery with a spare.
Joe Amato. When he goes out for a Sunday drive, he goes with Autolite. But Monday through Saturday, Joe goes one better. Autolite Platinum, the premium performance plug for your everyday driving. This Joe's not your average Sunday driver. And Autolite Platinum's not your average everyday plug.
Cold filtered. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Join us here Sunday on the Inside Winston Cup Racing for highlights of the Mellow Yellow 500 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll also meet a young man, David Knupp, who has turned a hobby into a profession in building models.
Inside Winston Cup Racing, Sports Sundays at 11 a.m., 5 and 9 p.m., and again at 12:30 a.m. Eastern on TNN. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, where we are under our 7th caution of the day, and it came out just a few moments ago up in that spot of the track, turns 1 and 2. Smoke on the 64 car, Joe Bessie.
Well, we originally thought that Bessie had blown an engine mark, but he's still on the racetrack. He continued under power. Obviously, something came out of the car. As he exited turn 2 with all that smoke going on, Jamie Obey came in behind him in the 41, hit the fluid on the racetrack, spun around, did not make contact with the wall, but it wasn't a terminal problem for Bessie. He's still on the track.
Tommy Houston, Kenny Wallace did come in under that yellow flag, as did car number 16, Stubb Fadden, the veteran out of North Haverhill, New Hampshire. But most of the front runners decided not to come on to pit road. Stubb Fadden, 58 years young. We say young now because everybody was trying to make Harry Gant old about 6 or 7 weeks ago at 51. We've certainly found out there's still a little life left in those bones.
The Herschel McGriff, if you will, of the northeastern stock car scene. The New Hampshire International Speedway. Now, this is the 4th combination race that they have run over a 2-year period. You get a good panorama effect of what the Speedway is really like from our Turn 1 camera. And here is a facility that has impressed absolutely everyone who has come here, including championship auto racing teams.
They certainly have, because IndyCar racing is coming to the New Hampshire International Speedway in 1992. They got a date that has been normally scheduled for Cleveland. And that date, the promoter, Roger Penske. And Roger Penske lost the date. The date came over here to New Hampshire. And so the Hampshire International Speedway will get a race in 1992, and that's great. This is a beautiful facility. I grew up about 50 miles from here, and it used to be the old Briar Motorsports Park, and it was nothing like we see today. They used to run a big motorcycle race here. That was what they were known for. It was one of the biggest motorcycle races in the entire country. It's got a legacy of about 70 years. But now that they built this speedway, they're going to run motorcycles, IMSA, IndyCar racing, and hopefully someday they hope for a Winston Cup race.
And as we get ready to go back to green in one more lap, the Cleveland race, don't completely cancel it off of your plans for 1992. The Civic leaders from the city up there right on Lake Erie, which is where I grew up. I can't even remember the city's nickname right off hand here. I spent so many years.
That's part of Cleveland's problem.
Well, no, I don't
Nobody
think
can
so.
remember the nickname.
But it's run on the airport there right at the lakefront, and the Civic leaders from Cleveland promised to be out at the final kart race next weekend to try to do what they can to resurrect that date. In fact, there's a lot of talk right now about championship auto racing teams, whether it will exist in its present entity next year, as Tony George, the president of the International Motor Speedway and CART, are apparently in discussions to restructure the IndyCar scene entirely for 1992.
Cleveland's a great sports town. They've got a lot of major league franchises, baseball and basketball, and so they certainly love to keep their major league auto racing.
And Cleveland's nickname is the best location in the nation. I knew I would remember it. Harry Gant is up to 5th, just like we talked early in the race. Handsome Harry quietly marching his way forward and has himself in a contending position as the green flag comes back out, and we are back to action with Robert Presley, the race leader.
Chuck Bound diving underneath Tracy Leslie just behind Robert Presley. And side by side, they're the third cars in the picture as they make their way out of turn number 2. Bound and Leslie locked side by side, a battle for second place. Everybody else basically single file. There they are, that great battle heading for turn number 3. Leslie holds on to the spot.
Good job by Leslie there. He didn't let Bound intimidate him at all. He stayed right beside him coming off 2 all the way down the backstretch, dove into the corner header and took that position back from him.
this is the best situation for Robert Presley up front because the lapped car, the 51 car of Mike McLaughlin, as we get 75 laps to go. And did I detect a puff of smoke coming out of the pipes of Robert Presley?
He simply ran down low on the racetrack mark and hit a little bit of that speedy dry and just dusted up a little bit. No problems on the Presley car right now.
There is Tracy Leslie posing in a Mike McLaughlin. That is a lap car. Now off the pace a bit is the 1 of Jeff Gordon. Right in front of him, the 0 of Dick McCabe. On the high side, the 18 car of Mike Rowe. Those are a couple of the drivers that are locked in the track championship battle, which will pay one of the drivers $10,000 at the end of this race. As you see, Gordon clearly off the pace now in that Carolina Ford dealer's Ford.
Apparently, he's lost a cylinder. If you go down one with a 6-cylinder, you've got yourself some major league problems. He falls in line there behind Tommy Easton.
And how much of a problem is that, Glenn? We know in a V8, you drop a cylinder, V8 engine, you lose some horsepower. What is the difference in loss of performance when you lose a cylinder in a V6 versus a V8?
Well, percentage-wise, it's a little bit greater because with only 6 cylinders, each cylinder has to work a little harder. So when you lose one of them, you are losing a bigger percentage of the power plant. So therefore, it's going to affect the 6-cylinder a little more.
Now that's the 44, Bobby Labonte, who has been in the top 10 much of this race, along with Ricky Craven, who has been at the point for a good while, but has not had his car handling quite as well here since about lap number 125. Labonte down to the low side, trailing Kenny Wallace by 33 points in the battle for the Grand National Championship. That is the battle for 6th on the Speedway.
Bobby Labonte then is in the 7th spot. And a little farther back is Kenny Wallace, so it looks like he will pick up some points if things are to end this way. Kenny Wallace, a little farther back in the pack. There's Bobby Labonte. Labonte has seen feast or famine at this racetrack. He was the first driver to christen this racetrack driving upside down in the first Grand National Series race when he flipped the car in turn 2, went up on his roof, and then yet he came back at the end of last year and finished 2nd in this race to Rick Mast and just drove brilliantly.
Now Kenny Wallace has also had a star-crossed career here so far. He has won this race back here in July, but he also has finishes as we see him in the black number 36. He's had finishes no better than 25th in the other events. So here are a couple of drivers who alternately feel this track owes them one, and this track has more than paid them back. Kenny Wallace 33 points up on Bobby Labonte in the Grand National title chase. This is the first race that we have seen between the two of them in the last 5 events where neither one of them has had significant mechanical problems.
They really haven't set the world on fire lately, and it seems like if Kenny Wallace has a problem first, then Bobby Labonte follows suit later on in the race, and vice versa as they flip the lead back and forth. But look at that great battle for the number 1 spot. 4 cars. Robert Presley on the point. Then it's Tracy Leslie, Chuck Bound, and there's Joe Nemechek, who's hung in there all day long. His car certainly running strong enough to maybe win this thing.
Oh, absolutely. Joe's got a strong car today.
179 laps are on the board. The top 4 cars are covered by 0.7 of a second. We've got a great finish coming up. Don't you dare go away.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. With not 1, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's important to remember at a time like this, when it's very dark and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
Linen, no better way to
morning belongs to Skin Bracer Aftershave. Its cool, brisk tingle really gets you going. And what a great scent. Skin Bracer.
No better way to face the day, 5 minutes.
As we return to the New Hampshire International Speedway, we are under our 8th caution of the afternoon for a 4-car incident that came this time at the turn 3 and 4 area of the Speedway, and there's one of the victims. Glenn?
All right, you see the car 98 on the bottom, car number 3 trying to lap him going into the turn, and Kelly Moore is hung out on the outside going by the car number 3, tries to go 3 abreast, just doesn't make it. He gets into car number 3, which is Tony Hirschman. Moore slides sideways. Hirschman turns around. Now watch what happens here. Dick McCabe in the green 0 does a great job of missing it. However, Ward Burton is slowing down, trying to miss him. It hits 3 as he comes down, and then boom, Micro and 18 comes along and clobbers him in the door. You see Kelly Moore in the black car sliding up the racetrack, incidental contact with the wall, but tremendous damage to Ward Burton. And Kenny Wallace, you see him just sneaking through there on the outside of the yellow car. He's the black car on the outside of 18 there. Great job of missing it all.
There's another angle. Again, car number 98 gets together with the 3 as the 3 moves up the track. He collects the 47. There's Dick McCabe. What a great job sneaking underneath. And Ward Burton just was wrong man, wrong time. And Micro getting in there. There's Steve Grissom getting by, and right behind Grissom, as Rowe's car starts up the racetrack. Look at Kenny Wallace looking for an escape hatch, and he barely finds one.
Well, he did the right thing, Mark. He got the car slowed down to almost a crawl, so he knew that he could turn the car any way he wanted to. Then good heads-up piece of driving by Kenny Wallace.
And what a frightening decision he had to make. He either had to go into Micro, or if he turns to the right at that point, he's staring the wall in the face. So either way, it was sort of a no-win situation. A great piece of driving there. Now, there is the Ward Burton entry, the Gwaltney Buick. They are doing significant work at the front end, but you can see that the radiator is jammed in. Let's go down trackside to Bill Hennessy.
Well, Ward Burton got an initial observation of everything that was taking place out there. Ward, you don't seem to be too pleased. Well, what took place in front of you?
Just people driving like it's the last lap. I don't know, just not using the heads as usual, same old one.
We're going to try to get this car back in, or are we going to park it?
I don't think we're going to make it back out. The Gwaltney Big 8 Buick was going to have a good top 10 finish today, but same kind of junk every week.
See you next weekend on TNN at Rockingham.
Ward Burton may have a little frustration spilling over from last week, where he was the class of the field. Comes back this week, and this is racing, right? One week you're the hero, the next week you could be down there around 0 someplace. It's a tough place.
It doesn't take long for things like that to happen. And again, Ward was, certainly none of that was his fault.
Right.
And really, what triggered that incident was a lap car trying to pass another lap car, and another car going by that lap car at the same time. There just wasn't room for all 3 of them.
In my opinion, Ward Burton over the second half of the season has perhaps been the most improved driver. As you see him looking at his car now, he's been the most improved driver of the Grand National Series. He's really putting things together in that A.G. Dillard machine.
And the green flag comes back out. We are now in the closing stages of this event with Robert Presley up front, but there are 4 cars right behind him that are involved in a good chase. Tracy Leslie, 72. The 63 of Chuck Bound, 87 Joe Nemechek, and sitting back in the 5th position, Harry Gant.
As this battle continues on the racetrack, the odd thing is, to me, nobody chose to pit then. So evidently, everybody's showing their cards. They think that they got the stuff to go the rest of the way.
There's Joe Nemechek taking over 3rd from Chuck Bound. A good move as they dove into turn 3.
And they get single file for the most part in a big hurry around this track, coming back up the speed. They are tiptoeing around just a bit, as there is Nemechek going inside of the lap car, one of the lap cars on the track. Right behind him is Chuck Bound now. Behind him, Harry Gant. And if Harry Gant's going to start to make his move, if he has anything, this is about the time of the race that we expect it to happen.
There's Ricky Craven a little farther back in the pack with Jeff Burton right on his back bumper, trying to make their way to the front.
Craven gets into car number 96 with Tom Peck. They come together in the middle of the turn. Peck is up against the outside retaining wall. Caution flag is flying again. I saw Craven go into the turn. It was a little bit hot there. He got together. Tough break for Tom Peck.
We're under caution for the 9th time on lap 187.
You see Craven there, and there's Peck hitting the wall. Boy, he hit that thing a lick. Craven in the 25, Peck in the blue, 96 on the outside. Ricky Craven had passed the car going into turn number 3, got in there a little bit hot. He got up into marbles and slid right up into Tom Peck.
It looked a very similar situation to what we saw in our last caution. Maybe too many cars going into the turn, 2 or 3 wide.
Well, when I watched him do it, Mark, I thought he had made it in there, but then unfortunately the contact came in the center of the corner that time.
And that's a tough break for Tom Peck, who came off a best finish last week in the season in Charlotte, a 5th place. He will not have a good finish here today, obviously. 188 laps are on the board. Robert Presley continues as your leader here in New Hampshire. I think that's exactly what happened.
The gutsy, hard-driving sound of Delbert McClinton on stage Tuesday on TNN.
Look fast, because the hands on this watch are about to disappear. Now, look again, and they're back. Why do these hands disappear? Because they're not really hands at all. They're actually electronic pulses of light. Introducing the amazing laser beam wristwatch. Destined to become a legend in its own time, we believe it will soon be one of the most sought-after watches in history. However, as part of a special publicity campaign, we will send you one of these amazing new laser beam luxury watches. Not for the hundreds of dollars you might expect, but for only $10. But to get your amazing laser beam wristwatch for only $10, you must act now. If you call within the next 30 minutes, you can order a second laser beam watch for only $5, just half price.
To order, call 1-800-238-9300. That number again is 1-800-238-9300.
Back here at the New Hampshire International Speedway, Ricky Craven, who was part of our 9th incident just a few moments ago, has come on to pit road for right side tires. He goes back on the speedway. After 190 laps, just 60 to go, here's the top 5. Robert Presley, Tracy Leslie, Chuck Bound, Joe Nemechek, and Harry Gant. And Harry Gant's crew is looking like they want to bring him onto pit road here in just a moment. We'll have to see if he comes in this time by.
Should mention that Nemechek and Bound have switched positions just after that lap 190 mark. So Nemechek currently 3rd, Bound 4th. There's Ed Whitaker on the left-hand side of the screen, the car owner for the Skoal Bandit car of Harry Gant. And those guys have been hot over the last 3 or 4 Grand National Series races. He came into the races we've documented looking for his 4th straight victory on this circuit.
And Harry Gant started 17th and has very quietly moved up through the field, sitting in the 5th position. They have decided not to make the pit stop. And Glenn, your thoughts as we're 1 lap from going back to green. Can Harry win this race based on what you have seen?
Well, right now, I don't think so. I don't think, this is the closest to the front that he has been, and it's because of heads-up track position they've worked on by not pitting and pitting at the proper time. Right now, it wasn't so much that they decided not to pit, is that the other guys didn't pit either, so they can't put themselves that far behind the rest of the field. When nobody in front of Harry came in, he had to stay out too.
Still a number of cars on the lead lap. It would make life very difficult if you pitted and the other lead cars did not. It would make things just miserable for you over the last part of this race, trying to get back to the front without getting tore up.
Well, his car is probably equal to the cars that are running in front of him right now, but he's not as much quicker, or so much quicker that he can afford to take a gamble by pitting and coming back out.
That's Chris Carrier, Harry Gant's crew chief, looking on.
They have made their decision at this point not to pit. Let's see if it works as we go back to green. Robert Presley, the race leader, followed by Tracy Leslie, Joe Nemechek, Chuck Bound. Storming back into turn 1 once again, and that is a lap car of Mike McLaughlin. Just like happened last time, he steps right in between the leader and his closest pursuers as they come off of turn number 2. And now you can see right away, Tracy Leslie said, that's enough of that. Let's dispatch with him as Joe Nemechek comes with him. And they make a successful pass as now the Magic Shoes, as his nickname, yields the spot. And look at Leslie drift up just a little bit high there. Looks like he had a little bit of problem negotiating it.
He ran up right behind Robert Presley. He went in the corner so well he had to get out of the car, or out of the gas and on the binders. Presley's got a problem. Got a left front tire going down.
Tough break, and he spins Tracy Leslie. And we have caution on the speedway up in turn 1.
Leslie gets clobbered by Nemechek. Both of those cars got bad damage to them.
What a tough break for Joe Nemechek. It looked like he was getting set to take the lead. There's Robert Presley. That left front tire just shredded pieces. We're under caution for the 10th time today. And Presley, with that tire brought it out, but Joe Nemechek paid bad price. So did Tracy Leslie. Just tough break for 2 young drivers looking for their first win.
Here's a look at it again, Glenn.
All right, you see Presley, the left front tire's going down. He couldn't turn the car. Leslie's on the outside. Presley gets in him, spins him. Look at Chuck Bound get by on the inside. Great move, but unfortunately, Tracy Leslie at 72 spins right up in the path of Joe Nemechek's going to take them both out of the race.
And that is one of the toughest breaks for Tracy Leslie, who was probably a foot from getting clear of that and having the race lead. Instead, his car is badly battered. Tough break for both of those young drivers. And Robert Presley, of course, has come to the attention of pit road to get new rubber.
You see Joe Nemechek slid across the racetrack and hit, it looks like an inside retaining wall. As Robert Presley comes back on pit road, Ricky Pearson and the crew going to work on that Alliance Oldsmobile.
And just like that, Harry Gant, as we look at Joe Nemechek, in fact, he's doing his own repair work there, and he can't be too happy by what he sees as there is fluid underneath the car. But Harry Gant, all of a sudden, vaults from fifth way up in the standings.
You can see the frustration that Joe Nemechek is experiencing right now. He looks under there, sees that damage. He threw something against the hood of the car. It's got to be frustrating. This is the best run that Joe's ever had. He was in position to, look, he's even going to help the guy hook the car up to the record. He wants to get that thing back to the garage there and get it back out there.
Remember, he came into this race fourth in points, just ahead of Robert Presley and Chuck Bound. There's still a lot on the line as we come down to the end of the year. Joe Nemechek, he's smiling there, but he's certainly not smiling now. And just drove a great race. I mean, what a disappointing end for him, because I thought he was in position to win this thing.
You saw the ambulance pull up there. Of course, that's mandatory anytime there is a crash on a track that NASCAR sanctioned event. But, you know, that ambulance is not going to do anything except maybe try to cool him down.
Well, that puts Chuck Bound in the lead as we are under our 10th caution of the afternoon on lap number 194. Jeff Burton is sitting in second. Harry Gant is third as Robert Presley will come back to his pits. Stay with us.
When the job is tough, you need the best. And when you need the best, you reach for Channel Lock. For the power. The precision. For just plain counting on, there's only one. Channel Lock. Be sure you're getting genuine Channel Lock tools. Look for this trademark.
John, how you doing? You know, AutoZone customers are pretty special. I mean, they take great pains in doing a job just right. So they know exactly what they want. That's why we carry so many parts. And also why we price them so low every day of the week. Because you gotta admire a guy who'll tackle a job like putting in a starter, a water pump, a rack and pinion. And you gotta give a guy like that exactly what he wants. The right parts and the right price.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
There is a giant in the tire industry, a Goliath whose products have cast a shadow over the high-performance world for years. Meet David. Hoosier Performance Radials, 4 models to fit cars and light trucks like yours. So pick up a set and take on the world. Call 1-800-344-6849 for the dealer nearest you. Hoosier Performance Radials, as serious about tires as you are about cars.
53 laps left to go in this live coverage on TNN of the Chevy dealers of New England 250. Chuck Bound did a great job in dodging that wreck. He is currently first. Jeff Burton must have done a good job because he jumps up into the second spot. Harry Gant is third, followed by Bobby Labonte and Ricky Craven to round out the top 5. Butch Miller is currently 6th, followed by Kenny Wallace, Joe Bessie, Jamie Obey, and Mike Rowe in the top 10. We mentioned the wreck. It just happened a few moments ago, and it took out 2 of the top running cars.
Well, it did, and again, it was the most unfortunate thing. But again, watch what happens going into the corner here. Presley down low, boom, gets up into Tracy Leslie, number 72, and pandemonium breaks loose after that. You see Chuck Bound making the great move, also Harry Gant and Jeff Burton.
And boom, right there. And that is at regular speed. I mean, that's how quickly they have to make decisions. And when you're going 120 miles an hour, you know, people say, well, why couldn't you avoid that, Glenn? But the truth is, it's almost impossible in some cases.
Well, when they say it to Glenn, it was because I hit everything that stopped.
There's some great fans from New Jersey pointing out that they had traveled up here to New Hampshire today. 1 lap to go, and we will have it looks now to be 53 laps to go to finish this race out. Chuck Bound, who finished a runner-up at this racetrack back in July. He was third last fall, looking to make an improvement up to the #1 spot as they're pushing Steve Grissom behind pit wall. He was the last car to tag Tracy Leslie.
You know, and I got a feeling right now that Steve Grissom's saying, God, thank heavens this weekend's finally over. I don't have to go back out there and look for anything else that happened to me today. I can park.
He'll wake up Monday morning. That was all a bad dream. It was all a bad dream. Yellow flag is being displayed again, so we will not go back to caution again. And apparently there's some debris out on the racetrack in turn number 2. And Steve Grissom, as we said, he's going to wake up Monday morning. Look, New Hampshire never happened. They skipped it this year. We're going straight to Rockingham from Charlotte.
Yeah, it may not happen in his own mind, but his crew will remind him as they put a new nose on that car, as they put a new rear clip on that car, and as they say, listen, how about picking up a paintbrush and the Bondo and helping us out here? That's no problem. He's happy to do it. There are spotters all around the speedway here. They've got them outside all of the turns so that they can see debris in the track, and they have detected some over there in turn 2. That's why we remain under caution here. When we get set to go back to green flag action, we should have approximately 50 laps to go. And, you know, Harry Gant up there in the 3rd spot. And, you know, Glenn, I want to remind you that just a few moments ago you said, no, Harry's not going to win this race.
I didn't come out and say Harry was not going to win the race.
Oh, semantics now.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. What I said was, based on the situation on the racetrack at that time, that he couldn't. There were 6 cars ahead of him. Now 3 of those cars are out of the race.
Okay, I'll ask you again. Based on the look at Ward Burton, looking like a super modified car, he's getting ready to go back out. All right, Glenn, I'll ask you again. Based on the current situation, can Harry Gant win this race?
I still don't think that he's got anything for Chuck Bound. Chuck's been strong all day long. Chuck's crew has been around a long, long time, too, and they've made the right calls, the right decisions at the right time. I just don't think that Harry's car is as quick as Chuck's right now. In fact, I don't think that Harry's any quicker than Ricky Craven. Ricky's in 5th spot, a couple positions behind him. Craven has had a chance to work on the stagger on his car. He got it off a little bit. That's why we saw him running back in 10th, 12th position or so. I honestly don't think that Harry Gant's got the car to win the race right now. I said it.
Okay. You haven't brought up Jeff Burton. He's running 2nd. He started 27th. He's been running strong all day. I think this guy's got a shot.
My money's on Chuck Bound there right now.
And look at the Chuck Bound crew helping Steve Grissom try to get that car back into action as we go to green flag. Meanwhile, the Nescafe Classic Pontiac driver on the speedway leads them back into turn 1 with Jeff Burton a close 2nd. Right behind him, Harry Gant in the 3rd spot. Let's see if they can get cleanly through turns 1 and 2 this time, and they seem to have negotiated that without difficulty. And there is a battle for the lead. Jeff Burton, 99, going underneath Chuck Bound, and it almost went 3 wide into turn 3.
Jeff Burton did a nice job getting out of the gas. He would have wrecked 3 cars right there. Somebody had to give. Jeff Burton didn't want to do it, but he did the right thing, did the smart thing.
To save his own tail. He was in a position he didn't want to be in at that time.
There's the Ward Burton car minus most of the front end. Now the car at the lead back in trouble in turn number 2. 2 cars up against the wall.
Kenny Wallace is one of the cars up against the wall. So is Tommy Houston. There is Kenny Wallace. He got tangled up with Peter Daniels, one of the lap cars, a driver out of Lebanon, New Hampshire. And Kenny Wallace is in the wall.
And another car, 22, Jeff Berry. And it is just like it has gone for the last 5 races as we're under our 11th caution of the afternoon. Whoever has been the points leader has had trouble in the subsequent race.
There's still a lot of cars on the lead lap, a lot of cars in this race. It could cost Kenny 100 points. You see up in the left-hand part of the screen, some car got together with Peter Daniels. It was Kenny Wallace. They touched. Wallace's car spins to the right, hits the wall. Daniels and the left side hits the wall. And going out of the screen, Tommy Houston got hit.
And of course, Kenny Wallace came in with a 33-point lead as now smoke is billowing out from under Jamie Obie's Buick, with Bobby Labonte running in the top 10 all day and Kenny Wallace stuffed into the wall. The question is, as we're doing some rough mathematics here, it looks like Bobby Labonte could take the points lead. What we'd like to do is just show you the replay one more time when we get a moment here, because there was a tight pack of cars over there, and one has to wonder, Glenn, Jared, if maybe Kenny Wallace wasn't shoved into the Daniels car. There's the Bobby Labonte machine. He has been able to stay out of trouble pretty much the entire event now. There is, under his own power, that is Kenny Wallace under power, so that is good news for fans of that young driver who hails from St. Louis, Missouri, but there is obviously severe damage to that Pontiac.
There are now 26 cars still on the racetrack, so if Kenny Wallace's team wasn't able to put him back out onto the racetrack,
Well, I'll guarantee you they're going to get him back on the track. If he can drive that car around the track in the condition it's in right now, they'll straighten it up enough to get him back out there, let him run around, make some laps. This is a long racetrack. It takes a lot of time to go. You can see the left front tire not even turning, so they got a problem there. I promise you, though, they'll get that car back out on the racetrack.
Now, Bobby Labonte is currently running fourth. If the deal ended right now and Kenny Wallace was not able to come back out onto the racetrack as he comes onto pit road, minus 45 points would be Kenny Wallace going to Rockingham next week. That's an unofficial quick look at the way the points would be if things ended this way. Here's Wallace coming onto pit road. He will cut in behind pit wall so his crew can put the car up on jack stands and go to work on that Cox dry-treated lumber Pontiac. There's Steve Bird, his crew chief, talking with Kenny now, and he will now start to assess the damage, and they'll jack that car up.
And while they are doing that, Robert Presley dove onto pit road for right-side tires a moment ago. That's an important thing to keep in mind as they attend to the Peter Daniels car that is still up against the wall in turns 1 and 2.
We saw a number of teams, just as Steve Grissom saw on Friday when he wrecked. A number of teams came to the rescue, and we saw as Kenny Wallace's car came into the pits. We see a number of other teams scurrying around to help. There again is Steve Bird, the crew chief for Kenny Wallace's team. And Wallace has jumped out of the car. You see him there with his helmet on, changing the tire on that car, helping to change the tire. He's very much involved.
And also, Robert Presley onto pit road, and the hood has gone up on a man who was the dominant entry through the middle laps of this event. That is not a good sign, but it's also, the hood is down very quickly. Glenn, any suspicion of what they might have been doing?
There was a little bit of smoke coming from the engine. It looked like it might be a breather or probably a valve gasket or something like that. Didn't look to be too serious.
Let's go down pit side. Kenny Wallace sitting in that car. The gas man was the car standing out beside changing the tire. Let's go down to Bill Hennessy.
Well, Kenny's turning the steering wheel right now. At least Steve Bird is. And Kenny, that's got to be disappointing. What happened going down into turn 1?
Well, trying to keep my cool here. All these wrecks been happening because some of the teams, you know, that ain't got real good cars. They're not looking underneath of them. You get all the way up to the door, and you know, and they come down on you. And I was on the apron, and a guy just kept coming down, and he come down, hit me right front. I tried to get out of it. It was just, you know, it was a situation where for sure you thought he knew you was there. And
I tell you what, you really are maintaining your composure considering how bad things have taken place for you in the last lap.
Well, I hit pretty hard down there, you know. I took a pretty good jolt. I didn't think the car would go, you know. I'm disappointed. I'm mad right now. I'm mad.
He's handling it real well, a lot better than a lot of these drivers. Well, what he's been talking about has been reflected on by numerous other people who've been involved in the crashes earlier.
And here's a replay of the incident one more time. That is Kenny Wallace, center of the screen, hitting the wall. Peter Daniels to the left. And what a horrible feeling that must be for someone who goes, gee, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble, and all of a sudden, bam, I'm in the wall.
Peter Daniels got into this race on a promoter's option. He started 46th out of 46 cars here on this racetrack, so he was well off the competitive speeds coming into this race.
Yeah, Daniels just wasn't watching the mirror that time, guys. He was a lap car. He was up in the outside lane, and Kenny was cleanly under him. He came down across the racetrack right into Kenny's path, and I don't blame Kenny for being mad and upset. And he did handle it very well. I'd be throwing stuff right now.
We're on lap 204 of the New England Chevy Dealers 250 here in Loudon, New Hampshire. 46 laps to go. Chuck Barron's the leader, followed by Jeff Burton, Harry Gant, and Bobby Labonte. We'll be right back.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240-card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
20 times last year, the world's best top fuelers fired it up in the final. And all 20 times, the outcome was exactly the same. Every single NHRA winner was powered by the same spark plug. Autolite, we feel pretty good about that.
It's a car born of intelligent engineering. It's 100,000 ideas fused into one. It's responsive, innovative, refined. It's a driver's side airbag and anti-lock brakes. Introducing the all-new 88 Royale LS. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
When the world of speed trade RPMs for RBIs, the result? A grudge match between the quarter trackers of the NHRA and the oval jockeys of Winston Cup. It's an off-track battle of racing's fastest superstars. A chance to finally settle the score. Who's the best in a benefit softball game? It's the All-Stars of Speed. NASCAR versus NHRA. 3:30 p.m., 2:30 Central Sports Sunday on TNN, the Nashville Network.
We have just gone back to green here at the New Hampshire International Speedway, where Chuck Bound is setting the pace up front with Jeff Burton second, Harry Gant third, Bobby Labonte and Butch Miller your top five. Then it's Ricky Craven, Joe Bessie, Mike Rowe, Kelly Moore, and Dick McCabe. So the entire second board is all Grand National North drivers, but Chuck Bound is setting the pace up front as he's trying to pull away from the Jeff Burton entry, who is about 7 car lengths behind.
Bound got a real good jump on that restart, left Burton and Harry Gant battling with the lap car of Tommy Ellis. That's car 12, and right behind them, Bobby Labonte.
Well, it was up to the leader to restart the race, and Chuck started a little quicker than he had been normally. He foxed him pretty good. The restart was good, but I'm impressed with how well the car is pulling away. Once the race got started, they got up to speed. He continues to pull away.
On the last restart, Bound almost got passed by Jeff Burton, so quite a turn of events. I thought Burton might sneak up there and try to battle him a little bit stronger here on this restart, as we've just got 41 laps to go.
And Harry Gant has moved in right on the rear deck lid of the 99 Jeff Burton car. Folks, just a quick reminder for you that this race is probably going to be running a few minutes long this afternoon, so please stay tuned immediately after our telecast for the NHRA versus NASCAR All-Star softball game. One of the wildest shows you'll ever see as these guys trade their helmets for baseball mitts and prove why they stay professional race car drivers. And that will also be repeated next weekend after the Grand National telecast here on TNN, as now we have a side-by-side battle for the second position. Handsome Harry down low.
We're going to see real quickly, because Gant's going to take that position from Jeff Burton. He does so with relative ease. We're going to see right now if what I said was true a while ago. If he's got anything for Chuck Bound, he's going to have to show it now. There's nobody, I mean nobody on the racetrack in front of Bound. Gant has just cleared that patch of traffic, so right now it's just pure hardcore racing.
See some great racing just behind Harry Gant. Jeff Burton is there working on the lap car of Tommy Ellis. Also there, Bobby Labonte, Ricky Craven, and Butch Miller, the first car on Hoosier tires still in this event. So he's running strong, looking for a top 5 position. There's Bobby Labonte going to the inside of Jeff Burton. He is looking to take over the 3rd spot and drive another nail into the coffin today for Kenny Wallace.
You would think that Bobby Labonte would be reasonably content with just assuming a top 5 finish before the end of the race, but he flew by Jeff Burton as if he was standing still. As obviously, Burton drifting up the racetrack is not handling nearly as well as he was through the middle portion of this event. We only have 38 laps remaining this time by in the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 lap race. It's a 264-mile event because this track is just slightly over 1 mile in length. Coming off of turn 2, you can see Bobby Labonte, the 44 car, down at the bottom of the racetrack there.
He just got passed by Ricky Craven. Craven is really flying right now. He's just a few car lengths off of Harry Gant. There's the leader, Chuck Bound, coming down to the stripe. That'll be 37 laps to go. There's Dwayne Castle, the tire changer on Bound's team, looking on anxiously.
And his stopwatch tells us the same thing. His stopwatch tells him the same thing our stopwatch is telling us. The lead is 2 seconds over second place Harry Gant. But look at that battle for second now. There we come. Kenny Wallace is back on the speedway. That is a beaten and battered car. You can see it's not exactly aimed straight, but it is back out there, Glenn.
Well, yeah, he's just going to go out and make some laps now. He's got the looks like he might have some brain damage. Oh, the rear end's knocked over. That's what it is. He hit the wall with the left side of the rear end, and it knocked it, shoved it over, so it's kind of dog-tracking right now.
What he'll do is try to run a lap or 2, and that may gain him another spot or 2 in the valuable 3 to 5 points.
Now, Now there's Kelly Moore, the black 47. Kelly Moore right behind him, Robert Presley. Now Presley on this last caution came onto pit road and took on right side tires, so he obviously should be handling a little bit better. This is a battle for position on the speedway, the battle for 8th.
Kelly Moore's done a great job all day. He was very disappointed about his run here back in July as Ricky Craven really turning the screws up on Harry Gant.
What we got to watch here now, guys, is Craven is obviously a little faster than Gant. He has caught him. But does he want to take time right now trying to pass him, slowing them both down, and letting leader Chuck Bound continue to pull away? Or are you going to ride behind Gant, hope that Gant can chase him down, and then play your card? So a little bit of strategy involved here, other than just trying to get around this guy.
It would seem the way Ricky Craven is shot forward after that restart that his car is clearly superior to Gant's.
But catching a guy on the racetrack and passing him are two entirely different things. Robert Preston seems to be one of the faster cars on the racetrack right now after that right side tire change. He's got a lot of ground to make up.
And Kelly Moore right there on the outside, battling door to door as they go into turn 1. Moore in a Chevrolet, an Oldsmobile for Presley, as there's a little bit of a smoker behind them, but yellow flag doesn't come out. There is Bobby Labonte again, being followed by Jeff Burton and Butch Miller.
Labonte is currently 4th in the standings. Kenny Wallace is back on the speedway in significantly damaged condition. There he is right there, going very slowly, just exiting the right portion of your screen as the battle for second continues. It appears that Craven for the moment is satisfied, as you said, Glenn, to sit back there and see if they can't reel in Chuck Bound here. But the question is the margin closing?
Well, no, I think the margin is pretty well stabilized right now. But if these two guys get into a position where they're battling each other for that second spot, that's the greatest thing Chuck Bound can ask to happen, because that's going to enable him just to pull away.
Steve Grissom getting some camera time and exposure for his sponsor, Channel Lock. That'll be a 15-race deal next year, as Ricky Craven way off the pace coming through turn 3.
He got way up in the marbles, trying to go to the outside of Harry Gant. His car seems to be up to speed. He got into that loose stuff, Glenn, and that's all she wrote.
He just got to turn a little hard there, trying to set up Gant to put a move on him coming off the turn. He got her up out of that groove, got that slick stuff, and buddy, there's no turning. You just simply have to slow it down then.
And it looked like the red 99 of Ward Burton had a thought about going underneath Bobby Labonte, then thought better of it entering turn 1.
Now Jeff Burton has his hands full with Butch Miller in car number 75. They'll tag into turn 3, about 2 car lengths apart.
And Butch Miller is up to 5th on the racetrack, so that's an excellent run. That's the top running Hoosier tire driver. Also now Joe Nemechek is circulating around the speedway. We've got just 30 laps to go. Now 30 laps, and this is where it starts to get to the long portion of the race for the Nescafe Classic crew.
That's Big Rodney on Chuck Bound's team. You know where the name Big came from.
Yeah, I think it's a very good nickname.
He's the only guy that dwarfs Glenn. I mean,
well, Big Rodney realizes there are big problems because Harry Gant has cut that 2-second lead down to 1.5 seconds, so that's why that look of concern was on his face.
I mean, Harry Gant, the guy that doesn't have what it takes to overtake Chuck Bound and win the race?
Yes. You said
that same Harry Gant?
Yeah, he said that with 53 laps to go. I did write that down.
Catching a guy on the racetrack is one thing. Passing a guy is another.
Well, we saw that a moment ago when Ricky Craven tried to get around Harry Gant, so there is some truth to what you say, even if you may be wrong about the eventual race winner. Well, now, there is Kenny Wallace out there. You can see he's significantly off the pace. The 84 is Todd Bodine, not using his usual number because the gentleman who has it, number 34, Glenn Sullivan, qualified ahead of him, and that's part of the rules here in the combination event. If you qualify higher and you have the same number, the guy who qualifies higher gets to keep the car number, and the other driver has to figure out something else to do.
Well, Harry Gant, who simply doesn't have what it takes to go up there and pass Chuck Bound and win the race. Kenny Wallace is in the wall up in turn 3 and 4. It will bring out the caution flag for the 12th time. Wallace's car slid up the racetrack as he was trying to nurse it around for a few laps. So we're back under caution with just 29 laps to go in this race here live from Loudon, New Hampshire. We'll have more live on TNN in just a moment.
Hi there. Hope you're having a beautiful weekend. Join us for our big Columbus Day celebration Monday on Video Morning.
We will be here, and we hope you will, too. We'll have videos from Dolly, Patty Loveless, George Jones, Alan Jackson.
We'll have a gay old time. Will we?
We're going to sing?
We'll enjoy ourselves.
All right.
Well, I'm a honky-tonk man.
Get ready for a honky-tonkin' good time. They're all here, today's hottest country stars in this all-new honky-tonkin' collection. Listen.
I'm a member of the country club.
Travis Tritt. From Randy Travis to George Jones, Ricky Van Shelton to Alabama.
If you're gonna play in Texas, you gotta have a fiddle in the band. Chasing that neon rainbow.
Alan Jackson.
Living that honky-tonk dream.
Patty Loveless. Honky Tonkin', 40 great hits. Available on 3 cassettes, $19.99. 2 CDs, $24.99.
To order, call 1-800-842-4444 or send $19.99 for cassettes or $24.99 for CDs, plus $4 shipping to Honky Tonkin, P.O. Box 10030, Stamford, Connecticut.
Back here at the New Hampshire International Speedway, what appeared to be a fairly harmless incident involving Kenny Wallace's car. We're not going to speculate on anything, but he did emerge from the car with some assistance, did walk away. Here's a look as they're starting to work, and they say, Kenny, do you need help getting out of the car? Now, it's not, that looks pretty serious there, but it's not. You can see Kenny is moving. He is starting to get out of the car, but there is some discomfort, I would think, on his face. I think it was fair for us to say that, and he went immediately to the ambulance.
He is holding his left arm, kind of favoring it, trying to keep the pressure off the left shoulder, so we're not going to speculate, but it looks like he took a shot to that left side. And again, he was nursing the car around after a crash. It wasn't right, but he's just trying to make a few laps to pick up a few more points, and found himself in another problem.
Well, as badly out of alignment as the rear end was on that car, I have a suspicion that it was probably rubbing on something and cut a tire going into that corner. That's obviously the worst place that you can cut a tire down, is at the end of the straightaway going into the turn.
We have a few moments here. Let's remind you of a couple of events that are coming up here on TNN the next couple of weeks. Now, next Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, NASCAR Grand National action from the Rock, Rockingham, North Carolina, the AC Delco 200, 2 p.m. Eastern. Right after that, then, will be the repeat telecast of the NHRA versus NASCAR All-Star softball game. So you got great racing and great softball action. And then Sunday, October 20th, live at noon, right here on TNN, the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race. Probably one of the most, not probably, it is one of the most grueling races on the entire schedule, where Dale Earnhardt is looking to further solidify his Winston Cup points lead. All of those events, Saturday at 2 p.m., the Grand National race, Sunday at noon, the Winston Cup race, live.
See a good crowd on hand today here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. If you see some empty seats from time to time in the grandstands, the fact of the matter is they've got a lot of seats, so you can have a great crowd here and still see a few empty seats at this racetrack. They built it to host, again in 1992, an IndyCar race, and hopefully someday a Winston Cup event.
Well, the Winston Cup drivers whom we've talked to in the garage make no bones about it. They think this is an excellent facility, and they would like to come here. Now, that is obviously not the driver's call to make. There are a number of scheduling factors which come into account, and many elements that NASCAR down at Daytona Beach would have to consider before awarding any new racetrack a Winston Cup date. But everyone that we have talked to from any series, whether it's motorcycle racing or road racing or stock car racing, has been most impressed with this incredible facility up here in Loudon, New Hampshire.
There's Dean Ferry, the Canadian driver on pit road. One of the main reasons why the drivers like to come here, it's a beautiful racetrack, a great garage, a great track, a physical plant, a great wide pit road. But Bob and Gary Baird just treat everybody so well. They roll out the red carpet, they come here, they have a great time, and they really have no troubles. They just have some fun and race.
And I like to come up here, too, because lobster's $3.99 a pound at McDonald's.
Of course, we see a lot of folks bundled up. It is getting a little bit cooler here. We started out a little over 50 degrees, and it has been a lot of sunshine today, but it has been a typical fall day in New England, as we see Kenny Wallace's crippled car being towed back to the garage area. And that's a sight that Kenny Wallace fans did not want to see today, and he was running so strong until he got messed up with that lap car.
Kenny Wallace has had a long day. We've seen several times that he's been in the middle of other incidents and has managed to get through unscathed, but it's one of those situations where you apparently can only dodge the bullet so long when you're stuck in race traffic, which Glenn points out further why sometimes it really is important to run as hard as you can so you're ahead of things like that can happen.
Oh, definitely. You don't want to stroke the car to the point that it keeps you back and mired in the middle of the pack. If your car's capable of getting around those other cars without taking too much of a chance, you want to go on and do it, because obviously the clearer racetrack you can run on, the less chance of something happening.
That caution flag, a big break for Harry Gant. He closes up behind Chuck Bound. Also, Ricky Craven, who had fallen back quite a ways, he gets a second light.
Well, I was just about to say, Mark, it's a break for, it could also be a break for Chuck Bound, too, in the sense that they've run up a lot of these laps under caution where nobody can pass him. Again, I made the statement 2 or 3 times about catching somebody's one thing, passing is another. They've got less time in which to pass Harry Gant. Now Harry Gant has to contend with Ricky Craven on his back bumper again. That's when Chuck Bound was able to pull away.
And right behind Ricky Craven is Bobby Labonte and Jeff Burton in the 99 car behind him, then Butch Miller. So we have a number of cars that have shown strength at certain portions throughout the race who are very much in contention.
As you well know, Glenn, the etiquette also changes in the closing laps. Chuck Bound may have given way to somebody a lot easier early on than he's about to maybe at the end of this race.
Well, at this point, nobody's going to give way to anything now. We're getting ready to go for a restart. One thing that's happened, Harry Gant has been awfully slow on the takeoffs. Let's see if that happens again.
And the green flag is back out. Chuck Bound leads the field back into turn number 1. 22 laps remaining here in New Hampshire. Can Harry Gant catch him? Let's keep an eye on that as they come back up to speed, moving through turns 1 and 2. Apparently the driver that lost the most is the 25 car at the right of the screen of Ricky Craven, who is stuck behind a lapped car. Chuck Bound now moving down into turn 3 as the laps wind down. Harry Gant maintaining a 2-car length deficit, but then further back and caught is Ricky Craven, our pole sitter, who led so many of the early laps. He's got to work his way around to reel in those front 2 cars.
And Ron Lamell in the car 98 is the car that's holding Craven up right now. Watch Harry Gant right in the center of the turn. He's a little bit quicker than Chuck Bound, but as they accelerate, Chuck pulls away just ever so gradually. So pretty even match right there. There's not going to be very much difference in these cars, but I still think Chuck can hold on.
Chuck Bound is looking for his 4th win of the year. That would equal Harry Gant for 4 wins, for most wins on the 1991 Busch Grand National Series. There's Ricky Craven, the 3rd car on your screen, making up ground in a big hurry.
It's kind of funny. It took Gant 4 races. It took Chuck all season to win 4.
When you're hot, you're hot. Gant going for a record-tying 4th straight Grand National win. But as we saw before in the previous restart, once Ricky Craven got clear of lap traffic, he was able to reel back in the front cars, and he's done exactly that again, Glenn.
With the 3 cars in the frame, watch as they go into the turn. Craven's car seems to push a little bit getting into the turn. He doesn't want to stay right down on the bottom of the racetrack the way he wants to. See it move up ever so slightly.
And that will make it difficult for him to pass on the inside, which has been the preferred way to pass all day.
Absolutely. Of course, it could be that the times that I was watching, he was just getting in the corner a little hot trying to catch him. So all 3 of those cars pretty evenly matched right now.
Chuck Bound, who had a runner-up finish here back in July and made a serious deficit, a 1-lap penalty for passing the pace car, is setting the pace here this afternoon as Craven once again is moving right back in as we're looking back a little bit further in the pack. That battle for second is really heating up in the Speedway as we're now closing to 18 laps to go. There's Craven to the high side of Gant.
Down to the stripe, there will be 18 laps to go. Chuck Bound trying to hang on for dear life with the veteran Harry Gant trying to hold on, and then the young lion Ricky Craven trying to cap off what has been a marvelous 1991 season. If he wins today, that will mean 10 wins in 21 starts. That's just incredible.
Well, it is a phenomenal record, but right now he's only worried about this one more victory he's chasing right now, and he knows that he's got the hottest guy in NASCAR, hottest guy in all of racing in the world right now in front of him. He's going to try to take him on the outside.
And they have really closed the field again. Now look, and you're right, Craven is going up high and around the track, and he really can't seem to get any advantage overall of Harry Gant. And Glenn, you say his car really isn't handling that well.
Well, it looks like when they come off the turns there, particularly off of turn 4 there, Harry's car might have been pushing just a little. Ricky had moved up into the outside lane trying to take him over. Harry's car pushed out the outside. He had to get out of gas.
Best thing for Chuck Bound right now is Harry Gant. Doesn't believe Gant can get up there at this point to catch him, but Gant's doing a good job holding back Ricky Craven, so sort of is the blocking back right now for Chuck Bound.
Well, you know, when you got 2 cars battling for first and second, it's one thing. When there's 3 cars like this, you're the car in the middle like Harry Gant is, you're intent on trying to pass and catch and pass that guy in first, but you also don't want to give up anything, take a chance it's going to cost you second place.
And we have a report that unofficially, if the race ends as it is now, Kenny Wallace would finish 25th, and that would do some serious damages. Yes, it's time to cross fingers and toes as Robert Presley is moving up smartly through the pack. And back up front, there is an excellent battle in Speedway. Side-by-side action all around the track. That is the battle for 5th. But a backup among the leaders as we're closing in with just 16 laps remaining. Ricky Craven has finally worked his way around Harry Gant and is into the 2nd spot. And now the question is, he appears to have been the fastest car in the Speedway for the last 15 laps or so. What does he have left to chase down Chuck Bound?
I think he's got plenty.
I think he does too, based on how easily he is moving away from Gant once he got around him. In fact, he has already closed right on the rear decklet of our race leader.
This should get really interesting. Chuck Bound would like to go out with a victory today and make up for some of the frustration back in July. Ricky Craven looking to cap off a marvelous season. I'll tell you what, Chuck Bound is going to be a handful to get by right now. He will not give it up without going down to his last bullet.
Well, there's 14 laps and 14 miles, and Chuck's got to hold Craven off. Craven is definitely a little bit quicker right now, but again, I hate to overuse this phrase, but you know, you can catch a guy because you can run the groove you want to, but passing him, that guy might be running the same groove you're running, and so therefore it's a little more difficult for you to pass, particularly if your car doesn't work as well in one of those other grooves.
And they're all on at least 75 to 100 laps in these tires, so that's making their job even that much more difficult. Chuck Bound is maintaining a 2-car length margin as we're closing in now on just 13 laps remaining. 13 laps this last time by.
13 miles is just about the distance separating Loudon, New Hampshire, this racetrack here in Ricky Craven's hometown in Concord, New Hampshire. I'll tell you what, he'd like to make this trip again and again if he can somehow make his way to victory lane. Not very far to go here. And Craven now takes a peek to the outside.
And Harry Gant has not given up the ghost either on this event because he has closed right back up there too. But Glenn, you've watched them now the last couple of times by. Where is Chuck stronger? Where is Ricky stronger?
Well, right now Chuck is a little stronger. He's coming off the corner. His car gets a pretty good bite. You see Craven up on the outside. See Chuck pull away right there. That's where his strength is. That's where you got to pass the guys coming off the turn. As long as he's that strong right there, they're not going to be able to do anything with him. You can run up on him and run by him in the middle of the corner all you want to, but until you pass that guy coming off the turn 4, take that lead, he's going to beat you. Let's see if he can do it now on the outside.
Ricky Craven goes to the outside of Chuck Bound and back at the stripe. He's got him by maybe a bumper length at that much. Can he make it stick going into the first turn? Because Bound is staying right there at the bottom of the racetrack.
Kind of surprised me that Chuck didn't go in the corner a little bit higher to move Ricky up out of that groove. Ricky's got him passed right now, so obviously Craven's car is extremely strong making that pass on the outside. He was able to do what nobody else has been able to do here today, and that's pass the leader on the outside.
That is a remarkable performance by Ricky Craven, going for win number 10 this season.
And he immediately starts to pull away. He's really putting some distance now between himself and Chuck Bound, although Bound closes back up again.
And we have got 10 laps to go. This last time by is now Craven drifts up the racetrack, and Bound is able to go back underneath.
Well, Chuck did something different that time. He turned the car down a little lower and accelerated a little quicker coming off the turn. The inside part of the racetrack, obviously the quickest way around. Chuck was able to get a bite down there and made up a couple car lengths on Ricky in no time at all. This thing's not over yet.
Not by any means. 9 laps to go this time by Ricky Craven. A 2-car length advantage over Chuck Bound. And right behind him is Harry Gant. Bobby Labonte sitting back there in the 4th position. If you're just joining us expecting a softball game, the NHRA versus NASCAR All-Stars, it'll come up immediately after this. If you're wondering where Kenny Wallace is, he has crashed several times. He is in the garage for the day, unofficially at the 25th place finish. Bobby Labonte is sitting in 4th, so it looks like the Grand National points lead will change again. The battle for the lead up front is the one we have been watching throughout much of the race. That is Dick McCabe in the 0 car, Dick McCabe in the O car. On the high side of him is Kelly Moore. These are 2 of the Grand National North drivers who have been putting on such a good show. A number of them are in the top 10 this afternoon. Dick McCabe, the position he's in right now, has a good chance of winning the $10,000 bonus that goes to the Grand National North driver who accumulates the most points over the 4 races that they have run here this year as they go side by side there. This time by, we have 8 laps to go. 8 laps up front among the leaders as Ricky Craven continues to set the pace.
Craven right now running the car just hard enough to stay ahead of Chuck Bound. He's not pushing it anymore. And another guy, you see Craven there at 25. The red car is Chuck Bound at 63. Then the green car here again. The car running 4th there with the red car with the yellow bumper. That's Bobby Labonte. He's a guy right now that's enjoying this whole thing. He's getting to see a great race. He knows that if nothing happens, he's got a 4th place finish. He's going to come out of here with the points lead.
Unofficially, he should come out of here with a point lead of 39 points. He came in down 33, up 39.
Last year in this race, Ricky Craven said, I needed to learn more about tire stagger to be up front near the end of the event. And Glenn, it certainly looks like he has learned an awful lot here this afternoon.
Well, I'm sure if Ricky Craven goes on to win, Mark, and he elects an MVP on his team, it's going to be his tire man today because, as we said earlier, he expressed that concern. The guy has done a terrific job. They only got off 1 time, but he still never fell back worse than 10th position.
He's also running a much different groove in the turns than a lot of the cars. He's going in there, you know, staying fairly high, at least turns 1 and 2. We see in turn 3, gets down there kind of low and keeps the car tucked low. But as we look at his car when he goes back into turn 1 this next time by, Chuck Bound 4 car lengths back. with 5 laps to go as they cross the stripe. Look at the line that Ricky Craven uses going into that turn.
You know, once Craven, he swings the car out real wide. He doesn't pin it down right to the bottom of the track like Chuck Bound does. That keeps the RPMs on the car up just a little bit, enables him to accelerate off the corner with a little more ease. When you turn the car down low like Chuck does, you got to slow it down a little more and really stand on the throttle to pull up the speed down the backstretch.
And Ricky Craven has no lap traffic in front of him that he will have to negotiate over the next couple of laps here, and that is a significant factor in this event as he is starting to ever so slightly inch away from Chuck Bound, who has done essentially everything he could do to maintain the point, but raced him clean, and that's an important factor here because Chuck Bound has always been considered to be one of the classier drivers in the series.
The Northern drivers are tired of seeing Ricky Craven this year because he's won so many events up here. The Southern drivers aren't going to be too keen on him either. Remember, they went to Oxford, Maine back in the middle of the summer to take on the Northern guys. Ricky Craven took the win there and a payday of better than $55,000. He comes back today, and it looks like perhaps he's got this one in his back pocket as well. So 2 out of the 3 times they've run up north here, he's come away the winner.
Well, and the bad thing for the Southern guys is they're going to see that 25 car one more time because he's going to Martinsville to run in the season's finale also. So they're not through seeing Ricky Craven's back bumper yet either.
And Craven claims that this car here today isn't his best car, which he's got ready to go to Martinsville.
That's great news.
That's a battle for 5th in the Speedway. Butch Miller in the 75, Robert Presley in the 59, and Presley with the little pressure tires is able to take that position. But we are now looking at 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go. That's the 99 of Jeff Burton. As you can see, he's starting to come in now on some lapped cars, but they don't appear to be a problem. 2 laps to go. The 1991 Grand National North champion appears headed to his first victory, second victory in a combination event for this season with the Grand National Southern drivers. Whatever that radical suspension that they have in the front of that car, it sure seems to work. And Glenn, you hit that right in the head in our pre-race show.
Well, it looks strange, and I did a double take at it, but he told me that it made the car feel better late in the race, and that's when he's come back strong.
And as we come to the white flag lap, a battle for second has developed as now Harry Gant is closed right up on Chuck Bound's rear decklet. Harry won't win that 4th straight race, but he hasn't given up second yet. White flag this time by for Ricky Craven heading up into turn 1.
And also back in the back, 99 Jeff Burton has just taken over 5th position from Butch Miller, but Butch says, whoa, wait a minute, that's not all of it. I'm going to get back up here and challenge for that position. Last lap shootout.
That's the difference between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is now Harry Gant is trying to go to the high side of Chuck Bound, but Ricky Craven could care less. He comes off of turn 4 the last time. Ricky Craven wins for the 10th time in 1991, a dominating performance in the final laps this afternoon.
Look at that great battle. Boy, Butch Miller just barely noses out 99 Jeff Burton, and they touch after the race is over. There'll be some words in the pits after that.
Ricky Craven has won his 10th race of 1991, and this is a driver who will go to Rockingham next week and make his Winston Cup debut, also live on TNN. And what a popular victory. Ricky from nearby Concord, New Hampshire, about 13 miles down the road. There he is accepting the congratulations of the rather large crowd here today at the New Hampshire International Speedway. A big victory for Ricky Craven in that speedy oil change and tune-up Chevrolet.
Craven took the lead with 11 laps to go despite Chuck Bound's best efforts and essentially pulled away, showing that he had what it took late in the event. Harry Gant was not able to overtake Chuck Bound for second, so your top 3 are, of course, Ricky Craven, your winner for the 10th time this season, Chuck Bound second, Harry Gant third, Bobby Labonte in the 4th spot.
Great run for Bobby Labonte. Started way back in 31st position, brought her home in 4th spot. He's going to go out of here with that points lead. So all in all, a great day for Ricky Craven and for Bobby Labonte as well.
I'm sure a lot of our fans may have heard about Ricky Craven's exploits this year on the NASCAR North Series, but maybe didn't take him quite as serious because he wasn't battling the Southern guys all the time. Well, when he's gone head-to-head with them 3 times this year, he has come out the winner twice. So this obviously is a very hungry, up-and-coming driver. Ricky Craven, 25 years old, seems to have his future all ahead of him.
Yep, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this sport for a long time to come. And I do want it noted for the record that, like you said, that Chuck Bound was able to hold off Harry Gant. It was just for second place, not for first.
Well, the last piece of real estate, the last minefield that Ricky Craven had to negotiate was the cars pulling into the garage. He successfully does that, and he's heading toward victory lane.
Of course, he took 1 extra lap around, sort of savoring this victory, his one that climaxes his 1991 championship season here in the North. There he is pulling into victory lane for the Chevy dealers of New England 250.
And he gets to Winston Cup ride next weekend at Rockingham in Dick Moroso's car, so he comes down south. We don't expect him to do quite as well in that series because there are fellows like Earnhardt there in Rudd and Gant, a few folks like that who are really expect to pose a problem for any newcomer, but certainly Ricky Craven has demonstrated the kind of performance this season that makes him a coming star in NASCAR stock car racing.
They tested there Wednesday at the Rock, and Craven had a very good, strong test. They're very optimistic that they can perhaps go down there realistically top 20, qualifying in the top 20 finish. Let's go down to Bill Hennessy. He's in victory lane with our winner, Ricky Craven.
Congratulations. You sure gave us an exciting, thrilling show here on TNN.
Boy, it wasn't without a little crash and bang. You know, I mean, this was the toughest race I've ever run, I think. And to be able to beat Chuck Bound and Harry Gant, boy, it's a tribute to the whole team, the Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up Chevrolet racing team. We've done a lot of work this year. We've done a lot of wonderful things, and I hope this quiets down my critics because the proof's in the pudding, and we showed them today.
It sure seems that way. Having won the Busch Grand National North Championship, culminating the season with a win here before the hometown folks in nearby Concord, the final question is, who were the guys that helped get this car into victory lane, and how important was the tire guy?
I got to tell you what, the tires were the biggest story of the day. We came in and got rights and got rights and got rights, and we knew at some point we had to get lefts. The car wasn't going away. It was as quick on, every time we changed right side tires, it would be as quick as the beginning of the race. So I knew that we had very little wear on the left sides, but we came in and got our left sides on 175, came back in after we got in side of Tommy Pett, and with the right sides and the left sides being fresh, the car was hooked up. It's the best it's been all day.
Congratulations, Ricky Craven, on winning the New England Chevy Dealers 250 at New Hampshire International Speedway. There's more to come in moments.
I guess I like things that go fast.
Experience life on the NASCAR circuit as you've never seen before. Call now and order Bill Elliott Racing to Victory and see what life is like for Bill Elliott in and out of Victory Lane. Meet the men responsible for the high technology and the marketing of the man known as $1 Million Bill.
It's $1 Million Bill from Dawsonville. Look out, the bird is on the loose again. He's got one thing on his mind, driving course number 9 down to Victory Lane at the end. Yes, it's $1 Million Bill from Dawsonville. Look out, the bird is on the loose again. And he's got one thing on his mind, driving course number
Order
9.
Bill Elliott Racing to Victory. Don't wait. Call now.
To order, call now, 1-800-524-4000. That's 1-800-524-4000.
Don't you want some of this stuff?
JJ, now that you've won it all, how are you going hardship? My man, JJ McCormick's not only going hardship, I'm going lottery.
A lot of people will tell you that cocaine not only will get you high, but will take your performance to a different level. But in this game, the higher you go, the closer you get to the bottom.
I'm JJ, man.
Every game's an end, every day is
What the hell's going on?
One game is in your face, the next thing isn't even in the game.
Hey, JJ! Stop, JJ!
You guys seen JJ?
Police announced that they'd arrested J.J. McCormick.
Back at New Hampshire International Speedway, where Ricky Craven has won for the 10th time this season, when he said, silence his critics. The only thing I can think the critics were saying is that he's been winning too much. Let's go back down to victory lane for the Miller Genuine Draft Pit Crew of the Race Award and Bill Hennessy.
Well, here's the gentleman that has won it. That's Nicky Claremont, the crew chief on the number 25 Speedy Oil Change Special. You did a great job, you and your team, in bringing this car into victory lane here.
Well, it was a team effort. All of the guys really pitched in today and did their job perfectly. And if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't be where we are to this date.
What's the guy's name that did the tire stagger on the car and kept you guys running?
Billy Fay, and he did an unbelievable job today. Unbelievable.
Well, on behalf of Miller Genuine Draft, the Nashville Network family, we'd like to present this Pit Crew Award to you for the fine effort that y'all put forth, and congratulations on your victory here.
Thank you very much. And this says exactly what it is. It's a crew award, because all these guys are great.
That's a very young crew for Ricky Craven, a young driver with a young crew, and I tell you what, they've been putting it to the veterans all year long. 21 starts, 10 victories. You just can't do much better than that.
No, you don't. You know, that comment he made about hope this would silence his critics, I think what he's referring to is people are saying that, well, he's been running the North Tour. It's not as competitive as it is down south. Well, the South brought their big guns up here today, and they couldn't hit Ricky Craven. That front machine gun switch that he had on that car paid off.
He shot him down in good shape, didn't he?
You know, and he clearly indicates that part of the reason that he has run so successfully is because of his sponsorship, because it provided the foundation dollars for them last season to go out and put this program together. It was a learning process for Ricky. Although he won races, he picked up 2 victories in 1990. He picked up a number of poles. It was a learning year for him. He proved that he was going to be a coming star. As we look at the top 5, Ricky Craven, of course, the winner. Chuck Bound second, Harry Gant third, Bobby Labonte fourth. That has significant ramifications to the Grand National standings. And Robert Presley fifth. He had dominated some of the middle laps. 6th, Butch Miller. 7th, DeWard Burton, Jamie Obey, Kelly Moore, and Dick McCabe. Grand National North drivers who had good finishes today. We'll be back with more post-race activities here from Loudon, New Hampshire, where Ricky Craven has certainly silenced any critics about his driving today with another victory. Stay with us. We've got more coming.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Before this, you never heard of cold filtered. Before this, you never heard of genuine draft taste in a bottle. Now hear this. Get out of the old, get into the cold.
Cold filter taste what it's all about. Never heat pasteurized, so the rich, smooth taste don't cook out. For those who discover this real draft taste, the world can be a very cool place.
Get out of the old, get into the cold. Miller Genuine Draft.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with a Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now by calling 1-800-289-4627 for a dealer near you.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rain-X, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. Water never slid off a duck's back quite so easily. If you want true performance from a product, go out and get your Rain-X today.
Available at Kmart.
Well, the leaves are at their peak here in New Hampshire, and Ricky Craven was certainly at his peak this afternoon, picking up the victory in Loudon, New Hampshire. This was a race that was slowed 12 times for caution, 2 of those involving Kenny Wallace, who finished 26, and that really jumbles up the points.
It certainly does, and it looks like Kenny also might have bumped up his shoulder just a bit, and we'll try to get more word on that before we close out things. But heading for Rockingham and Martinsville, 2 races to go in the Busch Grand National Series season. Bobby Labonte, in that little slap fight we talked about for the championship, came in -33. He now comes out +42.
Well, that's a pretty big turnaround, particularly one day. I didn't expect to see this in today's race because they were so even, stayed so close together on the racetrack throughout the race, and Kenny had that terrible, terrible luck, and we certainly pass along our condolences to him and his crew for the bad luck they had today, and hope that he's okay. I know he'll be back at Rockingham trying to overtake Bobby.
Wallace's problems today, typical of what happens to a point leader late in the season. They weren't of his doing. He was an innocent bystander, got collected and mugged down there in turn 2, and that was the root cause of all the rest of his problems.
Well, it's really frustrating when you drive the kind of race he did all day and do the right kind of things, keep the car in position for a good, solid finish, and then something of your own, or not of your own makings, puts you out like that. So very frustrating day, and it's going to be a long week for him.
And before anyone cedes the championship to Bobby Labonte, we should remind you that this is the 5th straight race in which the points lead has changed hands. So They go to Rockingham next week, where there will be a full field of at least 40 cars, possibly 42, so it could change back there. For Glenn Jarrett, Bill Hennessy, and Mark Arrow, this is Mark Allen wrapping up activities here from the New Hampshire International Speedway, where Ricky Craven is your winner. We'll see you.
Today's coverage of the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 has been brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. By Eagle One Car Care Products. Eagle One is visual perfection. And by Champion Batteries, when you can't wait to get started. TNN Pit Reporters, fire retardant clothing provided by Leaf Safety Equipment, Conway, South Carolina, and London, Ontario, Canada. Suit graphics courtesy of JV Lettering, Binghamton, New York.